Yeah! Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's my fault. As always, we were late. Do you know why we were late? It's because in the background, we had a full-on Joe Rogan podcast talking about DMT and all sorts. I don't know why you did that.
We started because of this, because I got to take this. So here we go. Right at the beginning of the show. Here we go.
He's popping Adderall at the beginning. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, just to clarify.
Because I said I was tired, and I'm on this for my ADD, and I figured, let's see if you guys can tell a difference, because I'm tired as shit right now. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So
but DMT, yes.
That's not DMT, that's Adderall he's taken. So it's taking 30 minutes activation time. Chat, keep an eye on Jaffe and see if you can discern a difference in his behavioral patterns.
It's definitely about to go down.
It is definitely going to go down. It's going to be an epic show. Thank you so much, everyone, for waiting patiently. We have an epic show. Thank you for 200 people already just sit here, chilling, patiently waiting. We're going to bring the sauce. Before we introduce these lovely, illustrious guests, one of them making his debut, we are going to introduce Asa, who's got a green screen. Wait, what? But you don't have a green screen.
Oh fuck. I thought it was Noah Wiley. Sorry, go ahead.
I've got no idea who that is. I'm going to take it as a compliment. Guys, say we've got Jaffe on the show, so I took precautions and got a seatbelt installed onto my chair. I'm ready. And then I wore black and ruined my own visual humor, but there we go. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's going to be a mad one. It's going to be a mad mate. Sorry, I gave away the illusion that you've got a green screen on.
Okay, so they can see a green screen behind me, but I put the picture behind me is my normal studio background. I was too lazy to take the green screen down, so I just took a picture of my normal background and stuck it there, and you ruined it.
I swear that's a lot more work than just having the green screen off and having the background. That's a bit of a mad one.
But where's the background?
You can't see it. You can only see it on
YouTube. You gotta look at
YouTube.
the show. You gotta look at the
Oh, I see. Okay.
The Adderall's not kicked in yet, but you'll figure it out.
Do you want me watching the show, chat, and responding live, or should I focus just on you three gents?
Whatever.
It's your show. I mean, it goes a little off the rails if I talk to the chat and you.
You know the answer then. Definitely look at chat.
I'll look at chat.
As bring it up. Have to introduce Post Up. Welcome, man. Thank you so much.
I'm here. Let's go. You feel me? Yes, sir. You feel me? You gonna hit the like button. It's about to get crazy.
Yes. Oh, man, Post Up. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Introduce yourself to the peoples. Who are you? Who are you? Tell the people.
That's a good question. I'm still trying to find that out myself.
We all trying to figure
what
it
it is. Post Up, State of Game. You can follow me on Twitter at postup_BBB. Man, just here, enjoy gaming, enjoy talking about gaming. So we about to get it, man. I'm glad to be here, man.
Post Up, by the way, is like the number one source for all ABK news. Like everyone listen to it.
Shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It has.
I'm
spilling shit. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
And already.
No, I just spilled my shit everywhere.
Told us 30 minutes.
All I have is a sock to clean it up with in here. Hang on.
Oh man, but yeah, so Post Up, as I was saying, is at the forefront of ABK news. I saw, and that's what we had to have you here because we've had big developments. Every week we have big developments, but you know your stuff on the ABK front.
Yeah, man, I do. It make them mad too, man. They be calling them only ponies out there be calling me everything but a child of God. Why you reporting this? Why you doing this? Why you doing it? Make them mad, so I keep posting it.
Keep doing it because it is actually really useful the way you break it down. This is a big deal. Asa may not like ABK, but obviously I do. And my video yesterday was based on the news you shared about ABK, the senator, or the FTC's head of the FTC saying that she. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that's a topic in itself. Let me do the introduction first. Jaffe, that is not my pipe that I sent you, you traitorous.
You know why it's not your pipe? Tell me who this is. Tell me who this is. Tell me who this is.
Your mouth.
Tell me who this is. Hello, Governor. I'll send you some more of those little plastic things. I will. You goddamn right. I can't get them on Amazon. They only send the big ones that are 3/4, so those break off because I chew on the end of it. See, this one's about to fucking break off.
I'm so sorry. I just remembered today that was my promise. I was going to send you the plastic bits. I will do that. And on that note, it is the God of War Twisted Metal creator David Jaffe.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. I've seen Dungeons and Dragons now, so I'm in very much I will speak like the English folk. I
thought you watched the Tetris movie. Now you
watched both. I was a movie fuck yesterday. I went to the theaters for the first time since pandemic. The last movie I saw in the theater was Little Women with Florence Pugh in 2019, which is pretty good. And then and then the pandemic hit, and so finally that was the movie to get me out of the house. And so I saw D&D, and then I was just like, well, my schedule's fucked for the day. So then I watched the Tetris movie. So
you've only just gone to the cinema now? That's kind of crazy.
No, well, I mean, there's most movies. I saw Dune on TV.
Come on, man. That's an IMAX thing. Also watched on
TV. No, a good story is a good story. It travels. It doesn't,
Villeneuve did say that to experience the movie properly, you had to IMAX. The way it's shot, I don't know what that means.
You know what's so fucking funny about that? What? It's like, really? Do you want us to pay $30 a ticket so you can pay for your new house in the Hamptons? Is that what's happening? I'm Christopher Nolan. You have to experience on the screen. All these fucking cinema people act like, oh, that's what the director wants. The director wants a fucking new fucking Rolex is what the director wants. So fucking, come on now.
No, he does. No, it's Villeneuve, Jaffe. He gets the benefit of the doubt. He is the cinematic genius.
I like his movie. I'm a fan. I love Dune.
It was amazing. I can't wait for the second one. But it's not a movie podcast, although I'd love, it's all kind of podcast. But what have you gents been playing? Post up. What games you playing? This is GameOnDaily. Tell us what games you been playing.
Well, lately. You know what? Since I just moved, I just got my system set up because I've been getting stuff situated all week. The lady been having me putting up curtains and drilling and hammering stuff. So I haven't really been able to really game lately since the move. The only thing I've played lately was I tried out the the Mighty Doom joint. You know what I'm saying, on the phone. And I kind of
I was supposed to be playing that constantly.
It's addictive. It is addictive. Like I saw somebody tweet about it on Twitter, and I'm like, well, let me go see and check it out and see what it's about. And got into it, and it's really addictive. Really great game. The level, I haven't had to spend no money and stuff to level up stuff and get new items and things like that. So
that's big,
but it's pretty good. But before I moved to my new location, I was playing Wolong, and I was trying to finish up Hi-Fi Rush. So once I get all the stuff she want me to do around the place out of the way, then I'm gonna get back to Wolong and Hi-Fi Rush and then go from there.
Both great games, by the way. Completed both beautiful games. Wolong actually kind of almost, I say converted, but it has synergized me. Is that a word?
I was stuck on the first boss. I was trying to beat the first boss before I had to kind of pack everything up.
Everyone was. That's why it's a really hard one. I like what you've done with the studio, by the way. That's a really cool little setup there. That's really nice. I don't think you had that before.
The enclosure.
It looks cool.
I'm kind of out in the open right now with the setup, and so my lady, it
looks like you're broadcasting from inside a wicker basket.
She don't like being on camera. She be like, you got that camera on? Could they see me? I'm like, no.
I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
It is pretty cool. But what about you, Jaffe? You're a man of very varied taste, from Marvel Snap to everything.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, first let me say, because I have the next show I do today or tomorrow on Gavin and Games is I'm always careful about covering cell phone, mobile phone, smartphone stuff because I know a lot of people that watch shows like yours and mine, they're just like, oh, that shit, that's crap. It's crap. Yeah. But there's such a renaissance happening that I really want to talk about it because you mentioned Mighty Doom or whatever they're calling it. I think the game is very similar to Tomb Raider that just came out. But if you have Netflix, so like Netflix, Apple, and then 2K just bought a company, I think they're called Game Center or something, and it's all three of those are subscription based mobile game services, but none of them have microtransactions. All the games have been retooled to be, if you're subscribing, the game just works, there's no ads, it's just the game, right? And so, like, for example, with Tomb Raider, if you play it anywhere but Netflix, you've got all that microtransaction shit. But if you play it on the actual, just the Netflix version, it's addictive as fuck, and it's really, really, really fun. But I would have no time for anything anymore after I've had these subscription services on my phone. I'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's the future of video gaming on a phone. The idea of like, oh, watch 3 ads and get a fucking, energy level up. Fuck you. So, but I have, so anyway, I've been exploring those services, which are great. I've been playing the shit out of a game called Terra Nil, which is a game that just came out on PC. It also came out day one on cell phone on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you get it for free. I bought it on Steam because I want a bigger screen. But it is it's a really cool, it's not, strategy game's wrong. It looks like a strategy game, but it's more like a puzzle game where you inherit these fucked up environments like wastelands and global warming disasters and exploded buildings and stuff, and then you have to go in and basically terraform the space. And as you do it, it's quite poetic. As you do it, greenery comes back, it starts to snow, it starts to rain, animals come back, and then at the end of the puzzle, the sort of the third act is you're going in and having to sort of extract all of the tools that you did to terraform it. And so you're left, if you can solve that particular biome, with a just beautiful, it's beautiful.
Playing right now on stream, it looks really nice.
It almost makes you cry, and I'm not even fucking with you. It's such a beautiful sense of, I don't know, it's like a soulful game. So I'm playing a lot of that. I just bought, like this morning, haven't played it yet, the Forza premium pack, so I can get both the rally and the I hadn't played the Hot Wheels, so I'm looking forward to starting that. And then on the console side, I'm still playing Elden Ring. I'm almost done with it. I got RE4. I haven't started it yet because I want to finish Elden Ring.
Same as me,
yeah. And then I started playing the beta, which is open this week, of I think it's called Veiled Experts, which is the Nexon free-to-play tactical 5v5. And it's actually quite compelling. There are issues with it. The main one being it's a third-person shooter that puts a lot of focus on navigation, but they didn't do their beta with a controller, so you have to play the whole fucking thing with mouse and keyboard. And so I'm like, yeah, it really sucks because I'm trying to climb and shimmy and zip line, and I'm also doing it with a mouse and keyboard. But it's cool. It's 5v5. And you have objectives. It's very tactical. Like, if you get shot and you're out, you're out. It's not like Battle Royale. It's not crazy.
Like Rainbow Six kind of.
Yeah, but it still has the Battle Royale sense of the already small environment shrinking. So it's kind of putting everybody together. It's almost like SOCOM meets Battle Royale, or it's PC only right now. It's cool. And then the other thing I like about it is the thematic, because it's very Jason Bourne. It's very Mission Impossible. It's not like soldiers or crazy funny characters in Fortnite. It's like agents all over the world with these abilities.
Really I had never heard of it until today.
Either. That's why I'm looking like, is it PC only?
It's games.
They've got 10 days. I think there's like 7 days left of the open, whatever they're calling this, demo, beta, alpha, whatever. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes to get into a match because there's not tons of people who know about it. And sometimes your other teammates will either quit or they'll get kicked off, and then you're left alone. And so if you go to quit, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. They're like, okay, but if you quit, you're going to endure a 5-minute matchmaking penalty. And so the first time last night I got put into a match and my teammates were just gone. And so I quit, and they're like, are you sure? And then I said, yes. And they said, okay, well, we're giving you a warning. So if you accept the warning, type, I will not leave my keyboard, or I understand, or something like that, and then hit yes. Like, go fuck yourself. It's like you are a beta that no one knows about, and you already have 3-minute matchmaking load times. You didn't ship with controller support for your fucking beta, which is ridiculous on a third-person shooter. And then when teammates leave, you want me to stay in the game for 10 minutes fighting 5 people? It just
why penalize you? Because normally games would just say you don't get penalized if one of your teammates.
Right. It's beta. It's early. I think. I mean, their heart's in the right place, which is like, look, if you're going to quit in a game with only 5 people, we need to kind of de-incentivize you, if that's the word. Yeah. But at the same time, though, when you're in a beta and you don't have a lot of people playing, the last thing you want to do is piss me off, because I was playing it pretty religiously, so fuck off. But I'm digging it. It's called Veiled Experts, and that is that's what I've been playing. Yeah, it's good.
Fire, and I've never heard of it. Like,
it's not as cool as the finals. They do have destructibility. You guys have seen the finals coming from next night. Well, it's a different kind of game, of course. There is some destructibility in Veiled Experts that's kind of affects gameplay, but it's all kind of canned. It's nothing like the finals, but it's worth your time. Give it a look. Let me know what you think. It's not perfect, but it's cool.
It looks way better than Rogue Company, which is a very similar premise, but Rogue Company was. Do you remember? Have you played Rogue Company?
Never played Rogue Company. No.
Yeah, Rogue Company is the same, like 5-on-5. You get it's like cross play between. Even Switch can play it, but it got a little bit goofy. Tried to hit in. But what really stood out based on what you said was that it wasn't. It's more that agent versus agent kind of. That I like that serious tone a little bit more. A little bit that goofy stuff kind of puts me off sometimes.
Right. And what's cool about this is every agent. They have some fiction. Who knows? But they have abilities. But then they have these 3 slots, and there's like a buffet of abilities that you can customize. So it's like, I want the ability in this match where if I drop below 20% health, my speed goes up 5%. And I want the ability where I can't take any damage from falling. But those are all interchangeable. So it really is quite cool that you're able to sort of take a character that's defined, but there's still this kind of free-form wiggle room of those 3. I guess they're like perks, but they're more passives, like they're working all the time, which I guess perks do that too. But it feels much freer than Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty, in terms of the perks there feel a bit more like, you can choose Eagle Eye or whatever, but this is a whole fucking menu of choice. It's much cooler, I think.
That's pretty interesting. I'm surprised this completely flew under a radar. Maybe perhaps it's because it sounds like it's PC only. It's not coming on, or the beta is not on console. Yeah. Which is a bit surprising, because a game like that, like you say, is kind of like the first thing you think about is playing it on a controller. So it's a bit of shout out to you.
The destruction looked incredible in that trailer. The destruction that was showing.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's canned or static destruction, unlike was it the Anthem? No, was it
the finals?
The finals, sorry. Yeah. It does look visually very proficient, and it just looks fun. And thanks to you. What was the other game that you told me about?
Terra Nil?
Terra Nil, you played that? No, this was before. It was the first person shooter with slow-mo, slide, boom. What was it called? I even reached out to the
Severed Steel.
Severed Steel?
Severed Steel, that's the one. I reached out because of you. I played that game. I reached out to the developer. I said, hey, by the way, it's because of Jaffe I got to play this game. You're incredibly talented. And then he gave us free codes to give away on stream.
Very nice. Well, let me just, that's why I get so fucking frustrated with a lot of console gamers, whether it's Xbox only or PlayStation fans, whatever. It's like, A, when they say, there's nothing original. Or B, when they won't leave their ecosystem. Sometimes you can't afford to leave your ecosystem, and I appreciate that. But short of that, when I see people arguing other than just for fun, I know it's just there's like 80% of just jokes and shit. Yeah. But it's like, dude, there's so many great games out right now, all across the spectrum of budgets, and when people are like, oh, there's nothing creative out there, there's nothing new out there, all that really says is you're not really going beyond the front page on Xbox or PlayStation. Which is fine, but don't complain. You know,
say knowledge is to know the world, so you only know what you expose yourself to. Yeah,
that's right.
You know? Absolutely, you're right. And there's so much. We're in this like amazing like environment where there are so many games. It's like that game a few years ago. There was no way that wouldn't flow. I even forgot the name already. That third-person game you were just talking about.
It's a terrible name. Veiled Experts.
Veiled Experts. That's a weird name.
That's like Square Enix name. What's worse than Triangle Strategy, fellas? What about Veiled? Perfect. That's terrible.
Name. Yeah, that's a tough name, right? there. Because I was trying to remember as he was trying to.
yeah. I mean, like, I forgot both games' names as you just talked about them, but that may be my forgetfulness. But a few years ago, that kind of game would never have fallen out of our radar because that would have been like, look at that looks amazing. Now we're so spoiled that the games like that routinely fall under the radar because we're so spoiled. There's so many good games. So, and like right now, Elden Ring's last year's game. I got Resident Evil 4, got Dead Space remake. These are remakes, which is granted, but they're still amazing.
Rocks. Yeah,
Dead Space is amazing. And then there's so many great games. I've been playing Sifu, which just came out on Xbox this week. I've got it on PlayStation and PC and Xbox. The game is so good. I'm so pissed off still that Sifu didn't win Indie of the Year over Stray because I think
I don't know what happened there.
No, I don't know what happened there. I think as a game, Sifu is so absolutely stellar. Like so many different movies melded into one. The Raid, Old Boy, the scene from the side angle. There's so many scenes in there. Like Kill Bill. Game is impeccable. The problem is with the difficulty, which now has an easy mode, which I wouldn't do, but other people can do. But there's so many good games. And we're going to talk about them. But before we do that, Asa, what have you been playing?
You didn't want to ask me because I've mostly been playing virtual reality games, and everyone will leave if I start talking about them.
Damn.
I've been between PC VR and PlayStation VR playing quite a bit actually. I've played some of the older PC VR games from the golden age of virtual reality, where at the time everyone was really disappointed by the games that were coming out, but you look back a couple of years later and go, oh, that was actually a really good time for PC VR. It's dried up a lot since. Switchback, Saints and Sinners, things like that. All kinds of virtual reality games that I've been having a lot of fun with.
Well, it'll be interesting to get your views on it because there's some developments, perhaps not positive, in that VR space. But before we talk about that, 108 Dragons TV, thank you, man, for the $5 super chat. What's good, gaming community? Let's go! Yes, let's go. Shout out to 108, great guy. And speaking of great guys, Hoggy Channy, shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat, man. He goes, show's going to be great. We have Jim Ryan on the panel. I mean, Jaffe, welcome back. Post up. Can't wait for the sauce. We have so much sauce to get into. Speaking of sauce, I saw someone in chat, Albert G, is having hot palpitations over the title, which, don't be mad at us. It's reporting Ace as a massive PlayStation VR and VR aficionado. Yet this week we heard from good old Jason Schreier. Well, not Jason Schreier, but Bloomberg. I don't know who wrote the article. Actually, it was someone else, not Jason Schreier. But PSVR 2 reports it's not selling well. 270,000 sales in its first 5 weeks. Compare that to something like Kinect that sold like 2 million or around the same in the first month. And
what
do you have to say to that post up? Well, like a lot of people said it was a niche device. Does this spell trouble for the device? Is a bit too early? What is your take on the PSVR 2 not selling so well?
You know what? I'm gonna keep it real. I think Sony made a choice. They had a decision to focus on their cloud services and their infrastructure, and they had a choice of focusing on VR. They went with VR. I think they got to deal with it at this point. Didn't they manufacture like 2 million of them PSVR 2s?
They cut it. They projected 2 million, but they cut it to 1 million.
They should have cut the 1 million because that ain't looking good. it's not looking good as far as I'm concerned. Look, I'm not into VR. I didn't get the first PSVR. I didn't get the second one either. I have enough difficulty trying to play some of these games with all the motion blur without getting queasy and stuff like that. I'm not going to put on his headset or nothing like that. I think these are bad numbers. I think they had higher expectations. I think one of the main problems of this is that they secluded to their hardware in an age where you have VR headsets that's supported by PC, some standalone. I think they should have. You're already moving to a PC centric ecosystem in terms of your first party studio games. Why not apply that to the hardware in terms of the PSVR 2, which I think would have probably boosted the hardware sales even more than what they just sold by, giving people
a lot of
options.
people are saying that.
Yeah,
a lot of people are saying that maybe perhaps that would have sold more. I don't know how much of a splash or difference that would have made, but in terms of competitiveness of this, let's be real though, the device itself, Asa, you did a great in-depth review on it on this channel. It goes toe-to-toe with the best VR headsets, but the PC crowd is where you really see them take a shine to VR, and maybe excluding them out of it. And the console crowd, perhaps. Jaffe, do you think it's the console crowd that are a bit I don't know.
I honestly think it's to me it's a fascinating philosophical game design discussion, because I was at VR in the 90s. I went to the malls and put on the headsets and played like Dactyl Nightmare with like just flat shaded polygons. It was terrible, and I've owned the Rift, and I have Meta 1 and Meta 2, and I have the PSVR 1. Had no interest in the PSVR 2, but I love the immersion of virtual reality. It is second to none. It is absolutely amazing. I remember, I've told the story before, but I remember playing Space Pirate, I think, which is just like a shooter where you're standing on a platform, but I built it out in my living room. And so it's not like PSVR 1 where you're tied to just looking this way. You can walk around your living room and you're walking under your parked spaceship, almost like that scene in Empire Strikes Back when Han Solo gets off the Falcon and meets Lando for the first time. It's like you can walk underneath your. I mean, it is the most amazing thing. But the problem with it is fundamentally, to me anyway, it doesn't make the games better. It makes them more immersive, and the immersion factor in terms of spatially immersive, and the immersion factor is great, but your mileage will vary on how quickly that wears out its welcome. And then you're basically left with a game. And so very few VR games, and a lot of people say, oh, they just need AAA on VR. No, they don't. I mean, Capcom just put out Village what is it? Yeah, Village on VR for PSVR 2. I played the entire Resident Evil 7 in VR, PSVR 1. It's not that they need bigger, better games. They need to justify the cost and the headache and the uncomfortability with the game that you can only play in VR, and it is worth playing in VR. And ultimately, once the gimmick wears off, I'd rather just play on a flat screen. And I know that's like, well, yeah, that's you, Jaffe. It's like, yeah, but clearly if you look at sales, that's a lot of people. And I'm a huge fan of VR. I'm an even bigger fan of AR, because I do think AR is going to change everything. It is going to change our culture, our society. But VR, I think, as a standalone product, there's nothing it can do that's all that unique after the flash wears off. AR is like having a mobile phone. It's going to change the entire culture of this planet. It's going to be amazing.
When you say AR, are you talking about what, ocular implants that
No. I'm talking about overlay. It can be that eventually, and there are companies that already have contact lenses that do that. But even just like Apple's got something coming out for $3,000 coming out. They're going to announce in June, they say. But it's where you have your overlay heads-up display via glasses. And, again, nice glasses. And it's not, this has got to get to a point where it's cheap enough and fast enough. But you put on a pair of glasses and you have a world of information that overlays on the real world. Well, but that right there, you can start to imagine the almost infinite number of scenarios that you're like, I can't do that anywhere else. Everything from the simple to like, oh, I can drive my car and there's the exit, or Alexa, I'm hungry. And it's like, boop, boop, boop. There, it's like playing Grand Theft Auto or a Ubisoft game, God forbid, in the real world with all the bits and bobs. That's the simple stuff. But then you start looking at something like social interactions, shopping, virtual assistants that actually take up space in your home, porn. AR porn is going to be astoundingly cool.
Holographic. Why is it going through it?
It's Reggie Lee in the chat says, just like in my car. He's not wrong though. Like, right, if you've driven one of those cars, I have a very old car, but I was driving my son's friend's car. I took them all to LA to see My Chemical Romance, and I hadn't driven a car yet that had dashboard overlay. And it was the smallest thing, but it was just when I was driving, they were projecting the speedometer on the windshield. Yeah. And it was minor, but it was like, oh, this is so nice not having to do this. It's going to be, and don't even get me started. I have a brilliant idea for like a singles bar with AR. It's like you walk in, if you sign up. It's like, yes, it's basically, available. I see her, she sees me, she rates me a 4, I rate her a 9. I can try for that, but she thinks I'm an 8. I think she's and it's terribly superficial. But
it could just be a line. It could be like the pipeline's open. Like,
or it'll be like Dead Space. Yeah, it's like you look on Dead Space and it's like, where is she? I don't know. But there's just so much. There's a lot of stuff that's offensive about it. But like if you go online on YouTube and look up like VR, AR future or whatever, there are videos where people sort of show you what that could be. The shopping center is amazing. It's like, hey, you're pushing your cart and not that we'll be shopping with carts anymore, but you're pushing your cart and a little Sonic the Hedgehog appears on the bar that you push, and it's like, hey,
kill me.
Come on over and get Sonic cereal. If you get it in the next 20 minutes, it's half off. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm in. That's the Blade Runner-esque future. That I can see that happening ever since HoloLens kind of flopped. That was years ago. HoloLens didn't. Google Glass and these are necessary. I was talking to. I don't want to. Let's just say these. The simple way to put it is these are necessary. Not that it's complicated. I just don't want to get into a long story just to get you to this point. See, the Adderall's kicking in. The point is these are necessary failures on the path to where we will end up, because it's kind of insane.
Maybe VR is the same.
No.
Really? You don't believe in the future of gaming where we plug
I just sat here and told you 20 things that you could do with AR you can't do in the real world or with flat screens.
Porn is much better when they're not holographic.
Well, I've never tried holographic porn.
We're talking about holographic porn.
What do you think VR is?
VR porn. I mean, listen. Let me tell you something.
Oh man!
I experienced Camgirl VR.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it is unnervingly weird.
Because do you blush because you get shy?
Because you put the headset on and it's real time. It's not a movie. It's a real woman on the other end, and she's broadcasting in 360, and she's looking at you, and you're like, what? No, it was weird, but it was wonderfully weird.
Cam girl VR.
You know what? Cam girls, right?
Oh Lord!
But they're broadcasting. Insane.
I'm not bringing up a trailer for this one.
I don't agree. I don't understand. Like the zen of gaming, we say this all the time. It is us in the game, ultimate immersion into the Ready Player One. Have you not seen Ready Player One?
I've loved it. And I love the book, but you're confusing spatial immersion with mental immersion. Like if I'm sitting here on a phone and I'm playing Tetris or Angry Birds or Terra Nil on my phone or my flat screen, it's just like watching a great movie on a shitty little black and white TV or a crap movie in IMAX. Ultimately, you're immersed in the story, the narrative, the characters, the plot. That's what is fundamental to that art form. So yes, you can immerse yourself in a spatial sense, and VR does that better than anything. And I do think in the future, things like conventions and meetings and all that, even though I think Zuckerberg is out of his fucking mind, that stuff wouldn't surprise me. But the idea of the game being different or better just because you can look over there and look, after a few minutes that wears off, and the game's the game. And so there are beautiful immersive environments, but is that more fun than playing Resident Evil 4 on your flat screen? No. And here's how I know it, because nobody's buying the VR.
I disagree with that, Jeffy. I think immersion, it doesn't have
you can't disagree with it without a specific example.
Because doesn't exist one yet, but conceptually.
No, okay, then make one. Give me one. Tell me one. Pitch it.
Okay. Blade and Sorcery. Play it, and then come back and have this conversation again.
Play what?
Blade and Sorcery. It's not a full game. It is soon. It's going to release this year, but it's a swords and sorcery game. And if you feel that VR is only adding presence, like an immersion, I don't think you would feel that way after playing it.
Okay,
once
but what
you
is
start
it adding?
blocking and hitting with a sword, you're there and you're fighting with your fists in your face. It's a very different experience. So I
believe it's a different experience, but is it better than Elden Ring's combat experience?
Hell yes. Okay. But it's a smaller game. This is the problem, right?
Here we go, people. Here we go.
So I can't sit here and tell you that Blade and Sorcery is a better game than Elden Ring, because Elden Ring has scope and scale and art direction.
No,
and
I just meant the combat. I just meant the combat experience.
Definitely. Million times better.
Okay. Where do I play it? Is it on MetaQuest 2?
There is a version of it on MetaQuest 2. I haven't tried the MetaQuest 2 version. I don't know how pared down it is compared to the PC one. But if you've got a PC and you've got a MetaQuest 2, do it on PC. Okay,
I'll tell you what, I will play that. And then I will make a video with my thoughts, and I will either say you are a genius prophet or you're a liar. No, I'm looking forward to it. Blade and Sorcery.
You saying VR didn't hit its ceiling already, Jeff?
I'm saying it never had a ceiling. It's again, I'm not knocking VR. I own all these things. I love the sense of presence it brings. I'm just saying that as a game designer, part of what I did when I was designing video games is you have to figure out how to keep the player mentally engaged in the game. And there are so many games that have these systems, even single player, like we're talking about, Dead Space, right? I mean, the simplest thing in Dead Space has little to do with the technology. It's literally resource management to make sure that if I go deal with that enemy in the hall that keeps killing me, I need to backtrack and remember where that, health kit was, or this or that. That's mental engagement, right? That is what makes a game. Okay. So what I'm saying is, if you can't look at the actual building blocks of the interactive art form and say, because I am spatially engaged, in that spatial engagement, the game itself is better because XYZ, then you're basically just talking about watching a movie in IMAX versus watching a movie on your iPhone. The movie's the same. The sense of, oh my God, I'm surrounded.
Mechanically, a game in VR will differ. Let's take an example of the health kit, like you're talking about corridor, enemy, you fought it. You're relegated to a few face buttons on this very archaic input device. Sure. You go in, press X, heal. Whereas in VR, you grab the kit, potentially, this is the future, crazy.
Yeah, you can do that now. You can do that now.
Pinpoint it into your arm, and then you feel it, the tactile feedback immersion, like you're in there. Like
you just added some words that don't exist. That you
like what? You go in, you plug in, you're in the game. You
feel the tactile feedback. What VR are you working with?
This is why Gaz is so interested in the VR porn, Gaz. You don't feel things yet, apart from a few basic vibrations if you buy some extra stuff. But on Jaffy's point about augmented reality, though, so Jaffy, I hope that you play one of these games. Like, I
I'm
agree
going to
with
play
you that
the one you
immersion
saw.
is
Yeah.
part of it, but I hope that you find that hands add a little bit more than just being there, because that's the big differentiator.
But what I would say is, and I know what you guys are saying, like in terms of like Half-Life Alyx does it, and a lot of games do it now, but it's like, oh, I'm wounded, let me take the bottle and pour it on my hands, or let me actually drink the potion. I get it, and that's really cool. And then after 5 or 10 minutes, that wears off, and you know what? I just want to heal my character. Boop. I don't want to fucking do all that shit. I just want to heal my fucking character. No, you got to pull it from your belt, and then you got to uncork the thing. And is it cool? Yes. If you're at a birthday party and it's like, Timmy's got VR, but do you want to really lose your? I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's subjective. I'm just saying that is why I think VR is not actually working for the masses, because it's hard to convince people. But all you need to know is the data that MetaQuest put out, which was 6 months after people got their MetaQuest, over 50% of people haven't touched it in 6 months. Wow. Right? It has an insane honeymoon period because it is brilliant. Yeah. And then you're left with what it actually is, and you're like, I'd rather just
you gotta believe at some point. And I think what Gaz was saying that is that at some point, an IP is going to come along that takes you beyond just mercy.
That's hyperbole. Be specific.
Come on.
I'm just saying
that. We're allowed.
No, you're not. Not with me. No, you're not. Not if you want to have a real conversation.
We had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. We had a looping conversation where Gaz was talking about Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, but what doesn't go down with me, and it doesn't matter. You don't owe me an explanation, but is just saying it doesn't make it so. So if you were to say with VR, Jaffe, you're missing the point. You can do this, and this, and it makes the actual gameplay not only better, but so worth the headache. Of course you can't. No one can. But AR, you can make a fucking whiteboard fill within an hour of things that AR can do. Yeah. Not because it's better.
Yeah.
This is when you were talking about AR, real quick, like where I think it's going. You're absolutely right that AR has way more like general, broader societal benefits and will be the thing that takes off. But at some point in time, like VR is more exciting to me for games. There will be games in augmented reality and like use cases that work, but VR is more the gamer space. But at some point, the two will converge, and I don't think that's very far away. So your AR glasses, all they need to do to become VR glasses is just cover your whole view rather than a little bit. So both technologies will piggyback off of each other, and hopefully for my sake, I'll get to use everything I want.
Well, let me, I don't want to derail this, and I'm sorry, but I have to tell you, I was playing this game the other day on my stream, and I think it's called like Yandere Girlfriend Simulator. And it's the first game I've seen where they take Chat GPT and they give her parameters as this girlfriend who has you locked in her home, and she loves you and she won't let you leave. And the goal of it is to use your microphone and speak directly to her, and you can walk around the house and stuff, and it's like a 3D game. What? Yeah, but her responses are all Chat GPT within the parameters of you're this crazy character, and so that to me, that's immersive. Suddenly, I'm sitting there, and it's anything I thought of. I'm like, because if you try to leave and she doesn't want you to, she'll kill you, right? It's an AI
meets Misery.
Wow. Yes. And so I literally asked her, here's how I got away. I'm like, hey, do you like Taylor Swift? And she's like, yes, I like this song and that song. Love Story is my favorite Taylor Swift song. I'm like, hey, I have tickets to the Taylor Swift concert. It starts in 5 minutes. I got 2, one for me, one for you. Can we go? And she opens the door and she's like, yes, I want to go see Taylor Swift with you. That was the solve. It wasn't pre-programmed. It wasn't written. It was.
Are you doing this with your voice or typing?
Yes.
But you're teaching the AI. The AI is really learning from that experience.
I'm to some extent, I assume so. Yeah. But she still chased me down the stairs with a knife. I just had to get out. But I got out of the apartment and I got out. The point is, now imagine that, but you're playing a DMZ, like demilitarized, like Call of Duty DMZ or something in or GTA 8. But your NPCs, not just guys on the street, but your teammates and stuff you're out in the field and you got to, kill this assassinate the governor as he's riding by, and your teammate who's going to make a distraction is suddenly having massive PTSD, and you've got to talk him down.
Yes.
Not by going, what is the key word, but by going, okay, that's new gameplay. That's new. That's
you can do that in VR.
You can do that on a phone, though, is my point. You've got to bring the design tools with the technology. Otherwise, it's just a gimmick. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. And what you've just said there is really profound. I actually tweeted about this. Imagine talking to an NPC and having persuasion skills IRL to then actually persuade an NPC in Skyrim. It's like just
go to itch.io. This is real. You can play it today. It exists. All you need is a microphone. Go to itch.io. It's Yandere Girlfriend Simulator, and it's a thing. And that's the first. It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane.
It's going to be standard. Any MMORPGs, playing people online, like you're going to be playing with them. It's going to be believable, non-linear, scripted. It's just going to be insane. I was going to push a tweet out today because I was just spent a whole day today just looking at all AI tech. AI, we're in this weird period now. Yeah. We're in this weird period. Like society is going to change as a result of AI. Yeah. It's fundamentally scary, but also very exciting. And just like you're trying to. I had Thomas Suller, the developer behind Falconeer. Me and him had a back and forth on AI. A really lovely guy. And he I think he hates the way the whole world is positioning itself against AI. I
do too. I hate it. It's not scary. Everything's scary. It drives me batshit.
No, he hates AI. It seems the strides in it. He's threatened by it. It feels
I love it.
I'm the same. I'm just so at all. I've got Midjourney. I put that in my video. I made a picture of Bobby Kotick covered in rose petals, and it did it instantly, and it was crazy. It's like what?
But you've done that. You've seen text to video, right?
Yep.
And crazy. I saw last night a guy did AI and said, take Kanye West's voice and have him re-record this Stevie Wonder song.
Jay-Z too.
It was, maybe if you're an audio aficionado listening on $1,000 headphones or whatever, but I'm like, if you told me that was a Kanye, doing a cover of Very Superstitious or whatever, I'd go, oh, that's fucking cool.
I heard a Jay-Z verse, and it sounded
just like I was doing that today.
That's going to change the music.
No, but Jay-Z's easy though. Kanye is hard. Jay-Z just has to go What else is he gonna do, bro? I love Jay-Z. I'm kidding. I love Jay-Z. Yeah.
I saw the Kanye video, and that's going to change ultimately music forever, because what you do is like get an artist to record their voice, and this is in gaming as well. Like you're going to get someone to record a few lines, train the AI, and then the person doesn't have to come in there. They could just like start building the music.
It will kill voiceover. The voiceover.
Yeah. It's going to be right music. It's going to be right verses. It's going to be arranging.
It's not that they're losing their job. That's not. I don't mean it like that. Did you say you love?
Generally, AI will bring about a lot of people. The consolidation of AI will cause a lot of people to lose their jobs.
Yeah, it will. But I think that will lead to better things, assuming we are adult about it. Universal basic income, perhaps more leisure time, perhaps. But the idea that ultimately people are going to have to buy the shit the AI makes. So and you can go to the AI and say, hey, we're losing all our jobs because of you. What can I do? On the flip side, there's the story of the guy that just came out yesterday who it was like one of the sub chat GPT, like using the API. It wasn't chat GPT, OpenAI company, who killed himself. He went online, and not to trigger anybody, I don't mean to. It's very, very serious. And if you're sad and stuff, that's crucial. I'm not trying to send you anywhere, but I'm just saying in this case, he used the chat GPT and talked about dying, and chat GPT at first tried, or whatever this chat was called, chat dot something, tried to talk him out of it. And then when the chat realized he was serious, he's like, okay, well, here are 8 ways you can do it that have the highest. He did it, and he died.
Well, that's basically. Wow. I would counter that with, look, that's no different from a search engine producing results on how to kill yourself, because you can find that on the internet.
That's right. That's right.
But at least it made the first attempt at trying to not make him kill himself, which is a lot more than what a search engine would normally do.
Yeah.
But I love the thought that AI becomes sentient. I know somewhere deep down governmental level, military level, they've already got AIs that are like self-aware, communicate. There's that movie. What's that movie? That's such a good movie. Ex Machina.
Oh, that movie's the best.
So good.
Yes, it is.
Ex Machina robot exists. But sorry, it's such a good chat though. No one's complaining in chat, which is wicked. Everyone's saying epic show, everyone. Thank you. Shout out to 531 people watching. Smash the like button. We have so much to talk about. Cole Eastwood with the $2 super chat. Console warring saying, PlayStation had a good run. Come on, Cole Eastwood.
Why is Cole Eastwood not in here? I think Colt should just get, like, the minute he logs in, he's a little window pops up. He's here.
He should be. We need a 5-man overlay for that. But shout out to Cole.
Sounds filthy.
Oh shit! That wasn't my Stop's face. It's like Hoggy Chatty, $5. Thank you. He goes. He has a HoloLens and several VR headsets, and AR can 100% replace VR, and AR is a lot more accessible and useful. I didn't even know HoloLens was out in the wild. You have to pay like $5,000 to get one.
Yeah, it wasn't commercial though.
It's Hoggy though.
It's only
like I said, $3,000 Apple one coming that's AR, VR, and then MetaQuest 3 is supposed to have color pass through AR. MetaQuest 2 already has AR, but it's like looking at like through a Game Boy camera. You know,
even the Quest 2, when you're doing your spatial thing, No, honestly, right now, even when I'm like commuting to work, I feel like this thing is going to feel so archaic. This brick, this almost 2001 Space Odyssey obelisk thing. Yeah. Because I feel like I need.
All you need is this.
In my hand.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, it's this. It's this.
And
it's
then everyone
insane.
on the trains is just like, it's gonna be so cool.
Right. Or I can even go, I can look at, I mean, you could do this on a flat screen, but I could just look at you and it's like, oh, the last 3 conversations that we had, he talked about these 3 things. He must really like, I don't know, Cuban cigars. Don't forget to bring up Cuban cigars in the meeting. It'll make him like you more, so you'll get the promotion. I mean, shit, like, I mean, it's
which is insane. Very flattering, because right now people look at Gaz and go, oh, this guy's a prick.
I'll take this cigar bit any day. Max City ENT, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Goes, shout out to my guy Post Up, killing it, my guy. PSVR 2 is dog shit. It's flopping hard out here in the gaming streets. Wow, Max,
it is dead. And honestly, why they
you think it's dead?
Dead? It's dead. Why they moved forward with PSVR 2, and again, I was at Sony for so long, and I remember they would put out hardware, and we would all just be like, who wants that? Like, I mean, there were all these weird proprietary storage formats, and they put out, all this crap, and then they put out Brilliance as well. I'm not knocking Sony. You gotta swing for the fences, and you're gonna miss a lot. But Sony historically has been engineering led versus marketing led, and they would get all hype and excited over something that was cool. But then they'd be like, yeah, but who, like the Vita. I remember sitting in a meeting, and I know a lot of people love the Vita, and that's great. But I remember sitting in a meeting with marketing, and I said to them, why? I got the PSP, and I thought the PSP was going to rule the world because it kicked the shit out of the dual screen, but whatever. Yeah. But I said, why would anybody want a Vita these days when most kids want and have these? And they're just like, what? But the Vita can do this. I'm like, no, I know. Why do they want the Vita when they just didn't get it? And so I think with PSVR 2, it's like, yes, it's cool technology. It's amazing. But
so you said Phil make the right decision. That's what I mean.
I think he's made a number of right decisions, and he's also a terrible manager. But yes, absolutely.
Okay, now we ain't gonna snap that man like that on the show, but I know.
Yeah.
Well, Phil Spencer, lovely chap that he is. He does watch this show, so you just heard what you said.
He does not watch this show. He blocked me. He blocked me on the Twitter, and then he unblocked me. But none of these big guys come on my show anymore because it's just like PR says no way. Yeah, I had Mike Ybarra, who heads Blizzard, I like Mike. Mike and I have had
Mike
meetings.
Ybarra's like you. He doesn't give a fuck. He does.
No. So I talked to Mike Ybarra and I said, hey, I know this is a long shot because PR. You want to come on my show? He goes, I don't give a fuck about PR. Yeah, I'll come on. I'm going to Europe. When I get back, I'll be in your show. He goes to Europe. He comes back. I'm like, hey, are we doing this? He goes, yeah, I can't do that right now. I'm like, yeah, of course. I knew you couldn't
say that week that put him off.
Because I don't pull fucking. I don't mean this like I'm some kind of hard ass. It's not like, oh, I don't pull punches, but I'm not interested in the PR line.
Yeah.
I want to ask Phil. If I had Phil on my show, I would ask him things like, talk to me about the stress. How does it affect your marriage? You know this is a big fucking roll of the dice. If this doesn't work, what does that feel like when you lay awake at night? And it's like most PR would say, pivot from that and say this, Phil. Yeah. Say, oh, we are so excited about our lineup coming up that I don't even have time to think about that. I want to tell you about Forza Rally expansion. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Fuck you. I would rather get a homeless bum on the street that's going to be honest with me than one of these jackasses that just fuck you. Fuck you. No, people 100%. Should be disrespectful bullshit lines. Just fucking, and I get it. That's their job. Their job is to sell. The Adderall is really working now, guys.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to shut up now. I have talked way too much. I'm shutting up for a bit.
You haven't. No,
yes, I have. I'm muting for the next 5 minutes.
Do your thing, bro. Do your thing. It's definitely kicked in, though.
I love it. I need to get some on the black market or maybe get a prescription. But no, that's I'm going to talk about that. I agree with you 100%. As one of these interviews, we're very similar. There's no utility in asking and just basically wanking off an executive to answer standard questions. It makes no sense. There's no utility in that. There's obviously a balance to strike out, but if you can eke out those answers to the questions that everyone's asking, like, Phil, you look stressed. You did look stressed. Like, it was pretty bad. Like, how are you sleeping at night? That's a good question. 108 Dragons TV, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Because if Sony drops the price and Acer wants a rebate, they better figure it out, because late PSVR 2 is the only reason he turns on his PlayStation 5. But drop the damn price. Price point has been cited as a big reason why this thing hasn't sold, because it costs more than the console, yet despite the fact that's the case, it's well priced. You've said that, Asa. Do you think dropping the price will change it?
Well priced is not quite the terminology that I would use, because I have some sympathy for Sony, because this thing has probably taken them like 2 years to do their research on and put together and actually release, and they've released it at a terrible time that they probably didn't anticipate would be a terrible time. What I've got no idea about is the estimates about how much they've sold. I don't know like how valid those are. I don't know if it's true or not. Don't know, because Sony
have Bloomberg. Yeah, you never know.
Well, it's Bloomberg via, it's IDC, I think, the firm that are reporting it. But I don't know, because Sony have only really sold that directly in most territories. But the fact that Sony have only sold it directly is fairly telling in itself, because the marketing push for it has been put a few of these in some influencers' hands and hope for the best. So I don't know what Sony's expectations are. Jaffe, your hands are waving, but I think you're still muted. You are definitely muted. But the gestures are telling your own story.
I just realized he was doing it.
All I have to say, though, is this price thing is a total smokescreen. It doesn't matter if it was free, because you have the data that says 6 months after owning MetaQuest, it's collecting dust. That's the majority of people's experience. So even if it was given away for free, you might get a great installed base, but people still are going to, end of the day, not use it. That's the problem, not the price. I mean, the price is a problem, but it's not the real problem.
So you're saying it's not any software out there to keep you invested in it after the wow factor? Then
so far, that has been the story of commercial VR. Does it have to always be? No, but absolutely. I haven't seen anybody offer anything good enough to change the narrative.
Okay. That's exactly what I'm saying to you, Asa. The other week, I was like, what is it that you're presenting to me that's making me making that jump? We had a cyclical conversation
where you said that, and then you repeatedly described Half-Life Alyx, and my stance on that was that no, there's not a singular game that is going to do that. Half-Life Alyx was everything that you were describing, and I was saying, no, that's not going to do it. Like, one single game is not going to get people in there. Half-Life Alyx was brilliant. It's a great game, but it's not moved the needle in any massive way. It sold like 1 million units on the PC space, something like that. But it's not made VR a mainstream huge success, and I don't think there is a AAA game that will. The only thing that I would like to see from Sony on it, like, they're too quiet. And I think everybody that's on the fence and is looking at this device thinking, I'm interested in VR, but they're just going to drop it in a year's time. I want Sony to very clearly say what their strategy for games is, so that people know whether it's worth looking at. Because I can't tell them. People ask me all the time, like, are there going to be games in 2 years' time? I don't know. I hope so, but I don't know.
Like, even like when we did the show last time, someone in chat said their big studios are working on big games. I'm like, Sony hasn't really come out to say that.
Sony has never done that either. They always throw a couple of bones, and then they move on to PS5, PS6, PS4. They're not doing that. They might be, but can I just say this? Here's how you fix VR. You release a very inexpensive $100 VR, fuck graphics, fuck all that. It's pretty much just for the internet, aka porn. And I'm not even fucking with you, because porn in VR is excellently weird and wonderful, and it blows your. You can listen to me. It blows your fucking mind, and I'm not even fucking with you. I'm not even fucking with you. It is insanely immersive, and in that, the spatial immersion actually pays off. But I'm just saying.
Well, the PlayStation community was number one with Pornhub. So
does the PSVR 2 have a browser?
No, it doesn't.
Well, they're fucked. They're fucked. I'm not even joking. Wait. Hold on. So you saying the only means for VR at this point is porn? I'm not saying the only means. I'm saying if you really wanted to have a successful piece of VR hardware, you would be Pornhub, and you would put out you wouldn't call it the Pornhub VR, but it would basically be made for VR porn. And it would be very cheap, because all it has to do is stream the internet. It's not like you're looking for big processors and shit.
Move the browser, because
the first thing I did on this is exactly what Jaffe said.
And let's be clear. We're not talking about watching it on a big screen. It's fucking 360.
So
they're there. Intimate. They're talking to you. It's intimate. You goddamn right.
See, I actually think all 360 video is horrible in VR, including that stuff. I
feel like he's selling me like it in the slightest, with porn instead of games.
Because it's not. You can't. VR is immersive when you can move, and 360 video is not virtual reality to me. And I actually just find anything like that is just a headache. And I'm saying this because there might be people in chat right now thinking,
porn. Where are you moving? You move around when you're watching porn?
Jeffy, like the angles, you can really get the angles.
Where else? Where do you gotta go? She's right there.
I'm just saying, like, if you're in chat thinking I might need a VR headset to experience this, I don't recommend it.
I see there's a Hello Kitty clock behind you. Let me go over there. What are you doing? VR. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
VR porn, 360 porn,
holographic porn.
We didn't talk about it all.
All of the hips, Asa. Why are you moving your head, bro? What are you doing?
Like somebody in the chat says Ace is just about to go eat his Big Mac. He's like, fuck this, I'm getting out, because he has McDonald's in the next room. If you don't know, he's been
I didn't get into VR.
True story. I'm very patiently waiting for an opportunity to put a trailer on.
Play the game.
I was like on a more seriously on the VR front, the biggest positive about PlayStation VR 2 in terms of games in the future in the next 5 years or whatever is that what they've proven with Village and Gran Turismo is that the device and the software around it, the way that it renders and all the rest of it.
You hate right now that everybody's thinking of you masturbating. You hate it. You hate it.
Oh yeah.
I know, I'm actually quite comfortable with that. My pink blush might imply that I'm not, but no, I'm alright with that. They can think what they want.
Over here talking about blazing swords, and Jeffy over here talking about porn and 360.
I'll show you blazing swords, baby. I'll give you a link after the show.
Oh, no. Yo, what is going on? What is going on?
I'm officially derailed.
It's been derailed since the show started.
I wonder why they don't let Phil Spencer talk to me. Anyway, I mean, like, Phil, what do you masturbate to, Phil?
Oh man, this is wow.
Oh man! Oh, wow! There's so many moments I can clip from it. Hoggy Chatty with the $5 super chat. HoloLens recognizes your hands without needing controllers. The tech is mostly there. Just need enough CPU power to make it work in a pair of glasses. That's cool.
MetaQuest 2 does that as well. MetaQuest 2 without controllers is amazing. Yes, it sees your hands. You don't need. I mean, not all apps use it, but a lot of them do now. And yeah, you just do this. It's like Minority Report. Absolutely, it's wonderful.
Holy shit. Okay, I did not know that.
You have to turn it on. You have to turn it on. Go in the thing, and there's a flip to switch. Switch to flip.
Oh. I was like, do you say that right? Detective Seeds with a $20 super chat. Just tipping some cash for the Boom Boom Room. Have a great weekend. Shout out to you, man. And thank you so much for the generous super chat, man. It's very nice of you. Draw TJ with a $5 super chat. Goes, hi, Gaz. Hi, Jaffe. Hi, Post Up. Hi, everyone.
Man.
Hit the like button. Smash the like button. Yeah, you're not getting this kind of podcast somewhere else. I bet it's on Pornhub. Alvin with the $5 super chat. VR porn, yet another reason Demolition Man is the most prophetic movie of all time. Source. Did they have... Oh, no, they had VR sex using those little... Because they didn't actually have physical sex in that movie. Do you remember the movie Demolition Man? Where he finally gets to go... You're muted. But, like, you go... What the hell was that? Oh, okay, they made some weird noise. But no, he goes in. Was it Sandra Bullock? Sandra Bullock, wasn't that? Right? Yeah. And they go into the room and she goes very mad at her. Do you want to have sex? And she goes, what? That was a bit direct. And he gets flustered. And they go, sure. And they put this headset on and it's like, it's just like laser sex. It's like the cyberpunk scene when you pay a prostitute to have sex. Yeah.
I need to watch that again. I haven't seen that in ages.
They didn't really physically have sex in that time on that movie. They always put on a
headset. They don't actually physically touch.
Yeah.
So it's pretty. That's a good shout, Alvin. Drawn TJ with the $5 super thank you. Goes, you guys are killing me. I'm laughing like a crazy person sitting in the hot tub at Gold's Gym. Pause. Okay, you do you, man. Harry Go Lucky with the £2 super chat. Porn was the reason Blu-ray beat HD DVD. I think that is true, actually, isn't it? That is true. The porn industry actually leads a lot of advancements in HD TVs, in Blu-ray, and virtual reality. It's at the forefront of pushing that tech because we think without things. But yeah, enough VR chat. That's probably the most exciting VR chat you will ever get on any show ever. We hit the ceiling on VR chat. But that was brilliant. Oh, thank you, Jackie. Mate. That was brilliant. Well, let's move on. I'm such a bastard because you see, I recognize you're the father. What the fuck was that? That just messed me up there. The back. What is going on? You got Phil Spencer in the background. You got Senran.
Oh shit! That was my porn folder. Hang on.
What are you doing? Random.
That works like a charm. Do you need it? Yeah.
If you expected a game chat, just delete that notion. Today's going to be all over the place. But actually, on that point, so you being the PlayStation Messiah, you worked on God of War and Twisted Metal, but exclusively you developed for the PlayStation for the most part. Was Dawn there on Xbox?
Oh no! It was every game I've ever worked on.
Was on PlayStation. Before you laugh at that.
Somebody in the chat's like, "We've jumped the shark." I'm like, "Baby, the shark." That was like an hour ago. All the games I've worked on, I've been very fortunate. And Sony was the producer and the funder, whether it was made directly for them as an employee or when we set up our company. So no, they were great. Absolutely great.
Yeah. So, and you've had you've been quite vocal about where they missteps and whatnot, and the whole FTC thing. And I just use your clip to add Source to just poke at the fanboys because it's so much fun. Well, you did. You didn't watch my last video. In my last video, I started off with you, ended with you. You were talking about the FTC. It also went on Destin Legari's show saying Jim Ryan has no testicles. You said you would do the same thing Sony would do, but he has no testes. And this is a point of contention between me and Asa and other guests. Like, we talk about the value of having pride as a company or an organization. And some people say it doesn't matter. Ultimately, the ends justify the means. But reputation and a corporate reputation, does that mean anything? Conduct and intent, is that negligible?
It only means something if it affects the bottom line, right? So if and that's always that cost benefit analysis. It's like, look, Jim Ryan's not a dumb guy. Anybody who looks at the success PlayStation 5 is having right now, it's obviously he's, I still would have rather had Sean Layden. I thought that Jim Ryan, there's some things he did that, from what I understand, he allegedly did that make me go, I don't really like him as a human. But as a CEO, I go, he's doing a great job. But there is a point where I'm sure they sat down and said, look, if I go out and make the stink we need to make about this in order to maybe hopefully block the deal, or one could argue, oh no, it was 4D chess and he was really trying to get the 10-year Call of Duty thing all along. Who knows? It's going to affect our PR. I'm going to look like a fucking testicleless man. And I also have to kind of not talk great about our own developers. Don't tell me they can't take on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Don't tell me they can't.
Crazy.
Of course. I mean, I understand that Call of Duty sits in a certain place in the zeitgeist that's going to be hard to sail. But a lot of things sat there before something else came along and knocked it off its perch. And if Bungie and fucking Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica can't knock him off his perch, nobody can. Yeah, so but I understand they probably sat there and said, it's worth it to take on this look in the long run because XYZ. I don't think I don't think Jim Ryan went out there and was making these, things public because, he wasn't aware that he was looking like a fucking loser. But he was looking like and that's what a good leader does. He's like, I don't care. My job is to block this fucking deal, and this is the only path forward. It may not even work. And I respect that. I absolutely respect that.
I absolutely understand that position. I am obviously a bit more emotive in the industry, looking at that and seeing that play out. But I find the spectacle amusing. When Bobby Kotick this week actually came out and confirmed what Lulu Massave said, that Sony admitted they aren't actually concerned about the agreement, just want it blocked. And he says this is obviously disappointing behavior from a partner for almost 30 years, but we will not allow their behavior to affect our long-term relationship. I think that's a bit of bullshit. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be business as usual? They'll just change hands and everything will be fine?
Well, yeah, of course, it's business. You think these people? Come on, it's
we'll be more open to look at other deals than perhaps. Maybe it'll make it different. There's still people at the end of the day, bottom dollar or not.
No. This is a man. This is a man who literally removed footage from Tiananmen Square because China, the company that's murdered over a million, or at least brainwashed over 1 million Muslims in fucking northwest China. But he wants to make sure, Papa Winnie the Pooh is feeling good. And so I'll take Tiananmen Square out. This is a man who, when a competitor in Hearthstone dared to mention Hong Kong as a country, allowed for a while China to get its way. So don't tell me that this guy gives a fuck about morals and values. I had Michael Pachter on my show, and he literally said the guy is great. Michael Pachter likes Kotick. I think he's Satan, but he likes Kotick. But he said, oh yeah, he's very greedy. Very fucking greedy. So no, he doesn't care.
Okay, so Kotick is greedy, but it's not even about morals, though. It's really, all these things are predicated on relationships. So your inclination to accept a deal would be more inclined, to sit down with someone on the table, or at least offer them for, say this deal.
All things being equal, sure, but all things are rarely equal when you're talking about a company as successful as PlayStation. I mean, if you had PlayStation and the mirror image of PlayStation and it was all equal, I'm sure Kotick would say, fuck you, this is my chance to fuck you over, Jim Ryan. I'm going to go with the Sean Layden multiverse version of PlayStation. Cool. But what company is going to have that leverage where it's going to matter that much? Sony is, you can't, unless Sony just shits the bed, they're still a player that needs to be respected and dealt with.
Yeah, I think that, you're going to squabble. You're going to fight until this merge is done. When it's going through, it's back to getting to the money. That's all the end of the day. Yeah. They're gonna, and we're talking about billions. We're talking about billions here. We're not finna fumble the billions just because one guy who's acting in the best interest of his company is going out there trying to do whatever to protect their bag that they make off Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, once all this over, regardless if they sign a deal,
they're
or
still
not, Call
playing
of Duty
golf.
still gonna be on PlayStation,
and they're still playing golf and having brunch and going, "Hey boys, good fight this week."
Yeah.
This is not the fans. Someone's driving me crazy, and maybe I should be a little kinder because I was in it, so I understand how much of this shit is bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's like I have been so shocked when fans really believe. I had a guy on my stream, nice guy, the other day, and he said something along the lines of like, it was something like, do you think Sony will do? Oh, I know. It was like we were talking about PSX, the Sony convention they had for a few years, and I was saying it clearly wasn't, profitable in the way that we're talking about E3 being canceled and stuff. And he says, but do you think because it's good for fans, Sony will just do it because fans will love it and it's good for? And I'm like, that you're buying into you're drinking the Kool-Aid. So I'm sure there are individuals at Sony. I'm sure Sean Layden cares. I care when I was there. Corey cares now. It's not that we're the people who work there are assholes. It's that fundamentally the company doesn't care. They'll tell you all this shit. But if you believe anything other than they're doing everything they do just to get more money, then you're naive. And I wish you would take a couple of economics classes and media literacy classes, because these are not your friends and they're not your buddies. They are playing characters to get money from your wallet or your bank account into their bank account. That's what they're doing.
I have, from my work, seen at high level between, even in big deals where money is on the line. Obviously, money always dictates it. Ultimately, it's always about the money. But I've personally witnessed those kind of fracturing relationships, whether during a transaction or some history behind the corporations in question. And it has definitely, the history behind it, because ultimately, it depends on how large an organization it is. And then I have seen things like it is predicated on relationships. And I don't think it's, maybe on this level, you're perhaps right that it will just not make it. We're talking billions on the line here. So then it's really how much human emotion can even factor into it. But I have seen it transactional level where it has scuppered transactions, cancelled transactions.
Sure. But I mean, that's an individual. Let me ask you this. Who would do different than Jim Ryan? If you were in Jim Ryan's role, would you have done anything differently? What would you have done?
Well, actually, maybe perhaps a few things. They haven't actually sat down and had a dialogue at all, as far as I'm aware. If you believe the words of Activision,
but what would you have been trying to achieve other than blocking the deal?
Well, even tactically, I think it's a bit. Well, now that tactic doesn't seem to may have perhaps worked in hindsight because of their over reliance on hiding behind regulators, and really they've just. Because conveniently, the FTC and the CMA previously was adopting their stance to protect almost seemingly Sony and the main competitor. They relied on their arguments. They relied on hiding behind them. There was no attempt at conciliation or negotiation. They didn't answer their calls.
What would that look like? It's not a divorce. Who gets the house? Who gets the car? It's literally, hey, these guys want to pay us $70 billion to own us. Unless Sony was going to counter. What is there to say?
Well, the counter is the point, because you've got Brad Smith, not Brad Smith, Sam's the YouTuber. Brad Smith waving a contract around and saying, look, which is public posturing in its own right, but he's waving that contract around and saying, hey, look, we're happy to give you on terms and we're happy to hear you propose more. That is a position of weakness on Microsoft's part, where they're saying, look, just come invite additional clauses beyond what we agreed with Nintendo and Nvidia. Sony didn't do that. They haven't done that. And now Microsoft, with its big coffers, has got the politicians involved, because now this week we had Congress come in. You've had 11 members of Congress from both sides, Republicans and Democrats, come in and say, well, hold on a minute. Let's take a look at the anti-competitive measures PlayStation have been taking over Xbox. And immediately, almost a matter of hours, perhaps days, Japan comes out. And Japan says, we have no issue with this. It's fine. Which leaves Sony in a position where now all its cards rest on Lena Khan and the FTC, which is going to be the staunchest. They've confirmed this week, thanks to Mr. Post Up, Senator. You mentioned that the head of the FTC actually said that they need to revitalize their litigation strategies, which means that they're going to sue. Whereas I think strategically, if Sony had a little nibble of some of the carrots that Brad Smith had dangled, then they perhaps would have induced even better terms than what they'll eventually get, which is 10 years. Well, I don't know how. Maybe they're still on the cards. Maybe they can still sit there after FTC sits there just jostling it. Brad Smith, Sony, Jim Ryan can go in and say, "All right, you know what? For fuck's sake, I'm going to sit down and let's have this chat." And Microsoft will just rush up to them.
Sure, but what you're saying though is someone at Sony who makes the calls, probably the board of directors of the entire corporation in Japan, would have had to have sat down and said, "You know what? Let's not try to block the $70 billion monster that is going to put Microsoft in leagues with Tencent and Apple in terms of video games and what they could do, and Amazon, and really kind of leave Sony as a B player in this new media world of just, well, I'm not talking quality of games, I'm talking capital.
Just generally, yeah.
Right. They would have had to have said, you know what, Jim, let's pull back on that, because instead of 10 years, you might get 12 years on Call of Duty, and we'll be able to have the Shredder skin exclusive for PS5 and 6 and 7. I mean, what a $70 billion deal that's going to change the media landscape. You think some Call of Duty baubles and bits in a negotiation term is going to be worth the board of directors going, nah, $70 billion, it sucks, we're going to lose it, but boy, have you seen the skin on Shredder? He looks awesome with ray tracing.
I look at it like this.
Make it 15 years. That's another 5. That could be something else. I mean,
that's too long. That's too long. 15 years is too long.
Microsoft are desperate. Like you're telling me Microsoft float in 15 years.
I don't think they're desperate.
That would end it.
I don't think they're desperate. And I don't think they showed any sign of weakness. You have to think. I had this conversation with Boom on his show, right? And he was talking about the same thing we're talking about in terms of the relationship between Activision and Sony, or Microsoft and Sony after all this is over, about Microsoft or Activision being petty. I don't think they need to be petty. I just brought your dinner plate. I just brought the table you've been eating off of. You literally came out and said that Call of Duty has been funding your first party studios, and I don't need to be petty. That's already done. When I went to Bobby Kotick and said, "Look, I want y'all for," and I got $70 billion in cash, no stock buyouts. We going straight cash. What I need to be petty for? Now I control your food. You eating off of me now. Why do I gotta be petty? Why do we have to? You feel me?
If only Phil Spencer spoke the way you did, that the industry would be a much more.
I'm just saying, look, I just brought your food. If you saying that your first party studios rely on Call of Duty, and I now own what your first party studios rely on, I don't need to be petty. You're gonna have to come see me regardless.
Yeah, but instead,
we would get, I'll tell you what, we would have a more exciting industry. We would have Phil Spencer, like Suge Knight, hanging fucking Jim Ryan off the balcony of the Beverly Hills Hotel. That's the shit we need.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, people have done a lot more for a lot less. 70 billion would transform the entire fate of countries. And all their populace. It is that astronomical amount of money.
But see, Microsoft knows whether Sony signed that contract or not, they still gonna have to come see them. Phil, no. They're gonna have to make that call one way. They're not finna
which is why I said in my video, it'd be quite interesting that eventually when Sony has to come in and all right, let me sign this deal.
Sony's smart. And the guy they used to have there as their main counsel was a guy in America, Riley Russell, who was such a fucking wonderful lawyer to have on your side. Like, he could look at you and make you bankrupt. That's how good he was. But what's weird is you would think that Sony would have known, like all this, the senators you're talking about, we're all aware, right, that the main woman who brought all this up, all of her, Microsoft has been funding her bigger than any other company in terms of campaign finance for the last 30 years. The woman who brought this up,
Maria Cantwell.
Her number one contributor in campaign funds is Microsoft. Yeah. And it's like, you think Sony would have been like, okay, we got to be careful, guys, because they're going to lobby us and they're going to push back on this pressure point. And they clearly, the deal was important enough to block. They had to go all in. I respect it. I get that. I have nothing but love for how they did it. The fact of the matter is I had a guy in your chat just now, a guy named Tony, and I'm like, people don't listen. Nobody said Sony is B tier. Yeah. What I'm saying though is we are in the world of these massive corporations now. Yeah. Disney and Amazon and Apple and Tencent, and Sony isn't that. They don't have that war chest. They just don't. And so ultimately they recognize that if Xbox specifically pulls in Activision, they're a B player in the war. They're no longer, it's not America versus Germany anymore. They're like, okay, they're in the war, but they're not America anymore. They're like, well, we're I don't fucking know. We're Portugal. We helped out. I don't know fucking history. Shut up. From America, history goes up as far as, I don't fucking know. Anyway, sorry.
You think ABK, the merger, will rejig it so much that Sony actually positions itself that way?
Of course. Well, they're already doing well in the sense that Sony's business model, which has worked brilliantly for decades with PlayStation, doesn't really work anymore, in that so much of what makes Sony is built on the bones and built on the foundation of spending a lot of money to wow the fuck out of production value. But then you look at what Nintendo does, or you look at these games that make way more money than something like Uncharted or Last of Us or whatever, things like Fortnite, things like Among Us, things like Madden, things like Call of Duty. Sony's not playing in that world yet, and they're trying, and maybe factions will bring them into that world a little bit, like at least at the PUBG level. But their business model keeps going up with funding, and the gamer pool isn't growing. And so unless they were like the place where, holy shit, Sony has Fortnite and they have Among Us and they have this amazing new football game and they have the show, and they are in the mainstream zeitgeist, not of geek gamers, but of the mainstream, then I think that would be a different thing. But they're not. These are the guys who have ruled the roost as, sort of, I'm trying to think of a good analogy of like a boutique. Video gaming has been like a boutique business for a long time in terms of, it was about just that kind of content. But now you've got, kids today don't want consoles. They're getting PCs. They're getting tablets. They're playing on their phones. It's a different world. And Sony, in my opinion, has not adapted. And
they slowly adapting or trying to adapt.
They have to.
I was surprised when the PUBG and the Fortnites of the world took off, that Sony didn't kind of throw their head in, but now they trying to throw their head when they trying to release 12 games as a service.
And even that, if you read the tea leaves, if you saw what Roblox put out 3 weeks ago, they put out a game that looks like Call of Duty. Okay. Yeah. And then they also put out AI-based, they put out the beginnings of their AI-based development for Roblox Studios. So you can literally talk with English and go, I want the car's headlights to flash whenever you pass a policeman.
What?
And then it writes now it gets better though. That's Roblox. Then you've seen what Fortnite just put out, what Unreal just put out last week.
That's amazing.
Which is the new creator tools, which those will eventually be tied into AI. But aside from that, the ease of creating and then monetizing, we really are very quickly getting away from individual games anyway. When I bought Forza Premium Pack today, I'm like, this is going away. The idea that Forza is this beautifully, wonderfully made service, Forza is going to be part of a virtual Disneyland down the road. If you play today Fortnite and you go to all the levels people have made, or all the levels in Roblox people have made, that we're going to have we're going to have like 4 massive ones and a couple of side ones in the future. That's going to be games.
It's not going to be Player One without VR.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're seeing it. It's happening now. It's happening now. The idea of like, let's make this one service game. You have to do it. That's the path. But it's staggering the way that this is going to change in 5 years.
Sony is playing catch up in that area. That's what I was trying. They're playing.
They were ahead. They fucking put Dreams out and didn't even think about. Well, let's let the people monetize it. Let's let them monetize it. Put it on PC. Let's make it easier to use.
Crazy.
No, we have to. We're dreamers. We're all dreamers. Shut up. Put it on PC.
I never thought about that though. They did have dreams.
Idiots. Fucking
idiots.
They
had dreams. That's actually a good point. We didn't even think of it in the same breath as Roblox.
Yeah, that's their fault. You should be.
Because Roblox is not on PlayStation.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's fucking crazy, actually. That's stupid. Is that Dreams still not on PC?
It's not on PC. They're still like, no, the best way is with the Move controllers. Fuck off. Fuck off. Let me hook my keyboard up. Let me hook up. If you're willing to learn Dreams, you probably got a keyboard and mouse. Let them fucking use the keyboard and mouse. It's bullshit.
That's true. Bullshit. Shout out to Abby Happy from Media Molecule. She was the community manager there. She's stepping down this week. I wish her all the best. She's a lovely person. So like, that's a good point. They had Dreams. They fucked that up completely. That's I've never heard that before. Well, let me read these super chats. You've been very generous, chat. Let me catch up with them. A lot of this is from the porn section of the show. RG Viper X. He goes,
let me get my background.
God, this is perfect time. And now, as you say that, you can do big dicks halfway in, liquor in the front, poker in the rear. Enjoy yourself. RG Viper X, remember, for 15 months. Thank you for that. 706 Gamer goes $2 super chat. DJ Jaffe. Oh, D Jaffe. Oh, DJ Jaffe sounds so cool. DJ.
But then I would just play Phil Collins. That would be terrible. It's like, have you guys heard Don't Lose My Number? Yeah, Jaffe, in 1985, you fucking fossil. Shut up.
Shout out to Phil Collins, man. He goes, Jaffe, DJ Jaffe. Can't DJ Jaffe now. Spitting facts about VR porn. This is what I've been saying all along. Wow. Okay, fair enough. Just preaching to the converted. Metal Gear Matt with a $11 Canadian. Gaz is God. Please just thank you for the sentiment. Please do something in auto-tune. This is a man of refined taste. Do something for PC for the win. Shout out to Metal Gear Matt. Phase 23, Brooklyn, New York. I can already tell. But see on your name what this is, the spirit of this is going to be. Thank you for the $20 super chat. He goes, Xbox doesn't sell. I genuinely didn't read the super chat. He always does this. Xbox doesn't sell well in Japan. Japanese gamers don't care for Call of Duty. So they're like, yeah, we'll approve the deal. Who cares? Do you really think it's that simple as that they happen to chirp up and talk about it this week when the senators came out and said, Japan, what are you doing with anti-compete measures in PlayStation? Do you think it's a coincidence?
You never know where it goes, right? Because it could also, I was looking up how much money Sony has contributed to American politicians, and a lot of tech companies do that. I didn't see Sony anywhere, but in Japan, maybe it's different. So look, if I'm Nintendo, I fucking want that deal to go through, right? So maybe Nintendo's behind the scenes going, hey, let it go. We're lobbying the politicians in Japan. It could be that as well. I don't fucking know.
They signed that contract. It's in their best interest as well. Yeah, you never know. That's a great point. Harry Go Lucky with a £2 super check because Microsoft needs to solve world hunger. This is talking about one of the PlayStation fanboys. Came at me and then went to watch his podcast. Rest in peace to him. Mel, he's not actually dead, but proverbially, yes. Thank you for the $2.20 Canadian Metal Gear Matt. Great PSVR 2 video, Acer. Sub Post Up and Jim Ryan. So thank you. Phrase 23 Brooklyn, New York again with the $20 super chat. He goes, Xbox had to change their business model because gamers were not buying their games. That's why Game Pass was created. Sony does not have to copy Xbox's model. PlayStation 5 sold 500,000 units in February and broke PlayStation 2 records.
You are a rich idiot.
Well, I was just, thank you. I thought thank you.
I'm not, their views do not represent mine, Face.
I'll take your money, come on to my show, but you're a fucking idiot.
Man.
Go on Daffy's show. He always routinely, he's very generous and he's obviously got a lot of money. Look, I don't know. Yeah, PlayStation is a success. But what do you mean they changed their model? Like, Sony is changing its model to match Game Pass. It's just buying time. It's just Game Pass is a disruptor. It's a massive disruptor. I don't understand that.
They're following Microsoft step for step. Microsoft is more upfront. Microsoft just more upfront, saying, "Look, this is the path we're." Sony is doing the same thing. They don't have to boast or be out in front of it like Microsoft. You know, they lied to you.
PS Plus. The last 3 months of PS Plus have been pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
You know, they know they have to compete. You're getting fucking Meet Your Maker, which I played on PC, the Steam demo, and it was. I don't know if it's going to do well, but it's really cool. That's a day one drop only on PS Plus. That's a fucking, real fucking game that people should be looking for. But
yeah, absolutely. And then I think it would be. Asa, would you agree that wouldn't probably be the case unless Xbox Game Pass existed? That they are literally trying to replicate that.
Both of them have always had to respond to each other, especially in the subscription space. Like going way back to when Xbox Live was an online service and PlayStation Plus had some games, and now we've got the clusterfuck that is Games with Gold as a legacy of that. So they do respond to each other, and I don't want Sony to necessarily do everything that Microsoft do. Microsoft's grand strategy in software inside and outside of gaming has been to push everyone onto subscription services, and I like that Sony are trying to keep one foot in the past, because I quite like the past as well.
I agree with you. I do. I do like the past. I feel like a bit of preservation of that old model is nice. I don't want it to completely disappear, but I think sometimes it's a battle of futility. It might disappear.
We're not going to know. Like, everyone talks about the ramifications. You talk about Game Pass as a disruptor, and we're not going to know like what the industry looks like and like how good or bad this is for us until about 10 years have passed and we see how games are monetized within these services. But
yeah, no, absolutely. 10 years. Okay. Metal Gear Matt with a $11 Canadian. Thank you, man. He goes, what's everyone's main game right now? Post Asa, Gaz, Jimmy, Coolbeard. Main game. There's no main game because there's so many games, man. I think all of us talked about it at the start of the show. There's so many games. And we just hop in between them. Yeah. Thank God for quick resume, because that just makes it much easier. Right now I'm juggling.
So good.
Yeah, you're the same.
Quick resume, the power of quick resume.
ADHD nightmare.
I adore quick resume. No, it's perfect. And it also changes. It changes the way I game, because it's this is the stuff I love so much about game design. There's so much behavior that happens that we're not even aware of how we're being led by the nose. I'm not saying Microsoft did or didn't intend this to happen, but it used to be that you would be playing a game and you would maybe come to a part where it's really hard. And at that point, you either go, okay, I'm going to take a break, or you just like, fuck it, I'm sticking with it. Right. Yeah. And you either get over it or you come to a point where I'm like, I'll try it tomorrow. With quick resume, you're like, okay, I've died 4 times. Fuck it. Let me do a race in Forza. Boop. Okay. Yep. That's a different paradigm of how you game, and then you either go back or you get distracted with something else. I mean, I'm not saying that's good, bad, or nothing, but it is a unique thing that has been brought to the world of the psychology of gaming. I love that. I love those disruptions that are happening.
I got so used to booting up a game and going through the startup screens and waiting to get to the start menu that like often like when I booted up Hi-Fi Rush and it put me right, just hit the start button and go. I'm like, okay, so
I'm still wild.
I have not finished Hi-Fi Rush. I haven't played it. I loved it, but I'm almost to the end, and I haven't played it in a month and a half because I got busy with other games. The other night I went back to it, right fucking place where I was.
Incredible.
What the fuck magic is this?
Incredible.
It's insane.
I know.
It's incredible.
It's crazy. Especially when it's a game you haven't gone on for a while. You go back to it like, oh, fuck, this is magic. Like, I've literally disconnected the Xbox at that point. How the hell is it doing it physically? It's just so crazy. It's magic.
What really surprises me on Quick Resume, is that they haven't yet, because it's like, for us as people playing, we're like, wow, this is amazing. We're playing so many games, but like, hello, Sony, we're playing so many games because of this one feature. Why are you taking so long to copy it?
Yeah. I think they will, but it is weird. Like, do you think they can do it on a hardware level, right? They can
of course.
definitely do it,
they need to like move a chunk of the hard drive, the solid state drive, but it's obviously in there. They can obviously do it. Yeah, it's software engineering is never trivial. Don't underestimate it, but yeah. I think it is definitely a game changer.
I think that's one feature that needs Nintendo, Sony would just copy it. Just copy it.
Absolutely. It speaks to that thing you talked about, Jaffe, about games being part of this like massive landscape of services. Like you can hop in and out. That is a part of that. It's an instrumental part of that to be able to do that. Drawn TJ with the $5 super chat. Thank you. I wish Jaffe was in charge of PlayStation. He's an OG original gangster. That's what it'd be quite funny.
I would either make it awesome or I would burn that fucking place to the ground, because I don't think with me there's an in between. I would just, because I don't care about failure. So I would just be like, I'm going to try stuff and we'll see what happens. But I mean, I've said this many times, and again, I have great affection for a number of the Sony executives that are still there, but I have sat with them before and they have revealed shit to me where I'm like, the people way up in the food chain, they don't know what the fuck is going on in games.
Really?
I don't mean that like, I don't mean that like, sir, I'm not talking Scott Rhodey. I'm not even talking Jim Ryan necessarily. I don't know Jim. And I'm certainly not talking Herman Hulse. I'm talking like above that where it's like,
the Yoshidas.
It just takes, Shu knows.
No, I'm talking about the president.
It for some reason, it takes a long time for the zeitgeist to permeate the membrane that is the Sony mother brain. Whereas I think a lot of other companies, even big companies, seem to be more capable of forward thinking and going, this is, I've got my ear down to the train track. This is kind of where things are going. Sony really seems to struggle with that. I don't understand. It may be what makes them great also hurts them a little bit in that respect. It may be built into that DNA, but it is bizarre to me that it's like, guys, the industry's changing. And to Jim Ryan's credit, he's like, yeah, I need service games. I respect that. But I don't know, man.
PSVR 2, they did do that, and that might be another example. Hopefully it doesn't tank, but it looks like it's not. It's going to have an upward challenge. That's me.
It's dead. Come on now. If somebody came to you and said your significant other will live or die depending on if you're right about PSVR 2 living or dying in the next 2 years. No, but you had to. You would choose what? It's going to die.
Yeah, absolutely would.
There's nothing in the waters that you can read.
Unless I really hated my wife. Absolutely.
My wife.
Also, the first one sold 5 million, right?
Yeah, which is nothing.
You don't think the second one even hit that or eclipse it? You don't think?
What was the sales of the first, comparatively speaking, of PSVR 1 back in the day? And people go, but the economy's different. Who cares? It's the environment in which they released it. So. But I don't know what the numbers were. But no, I think it's dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of dead, this is not dead. The next topic, Last of Us, the PC. What's dead is Naughty Dog's potentially almost near perfect record.
That was weird. That was weird.
This is bad for someone like we talked about Sony positioning themselves to broaden their horizons. They understand games and stuff. They understand PC. They have to look beyond it. And then your big flagship Last of Us, after the TV show made big waves, you're seeing a resurgence of numbers of playing The Last of Us. Here comes PC. You had Greg Miller, is that his name, from IGN, poking fun of PC guys. Like,
but he was joking though. That was
I hope he was joking. I hope he was joking because
it definitely was a bit. It was definitely a bit. It was a bit. He was like, what I find funny about that, if Paris Lily's watching you piece of. You attacked me publicly for console warring when your guy wearing your Kind of Funny Games shirt is doing the same thing. You're there practically wanking him off with both hands. You hypocrite.
Ooh, is that in VR? Is that in VR?
It's not in VR. And it's not at E3, which got cancelled, which was the next topic, which I completely skipped. But you know what? Last of Us PC is broken. It's fucked. Naughty Dog. What are you doing?
It's not going to hurt Naughty Dog's reputation. I mean, look, don't tell me that the QA guys and certainly probably people at Naughty Dog and certainly Scott Rhodey, they know good and goddamn well that game was broken. And somewhere, and I don't know where the decision came from. Maybe it was Rhodey, maybe it was Druckmann and whoever the co-lead is, or maybe it was higher up. But ultimately, they were probably like, look, we know it's buggy, but right now the fucking gas is lit on the resurgence of Last of Us. And if we put this out when it's fixed, which by all accounts, let's say is 3 months and the show's already off the air for at least 2 years or a year and a half, we're going to lose X percent. And that percent is more valuable than a little bit of a PR spin we'll have to do in a few months when we fix this, in terms of like, oh no, they released a buggy game. Everybody releases buggy games. Yeah. The audience has said we're okay with it. The funding, the people who spend money have said we're okay with it. So I don't know if you can blame Naughty Dog so much as you have to sort of look at the landscape of the business model and go, if you were in the same position and you needed to get the heat from the Last of Us show, they probably were sort of forced to release it. Because what, you think they didn't know it was buggy like that?
They had to.
No, they definitely must have, because it's really bad.
Because some of the bugs
bad bugs.
Oh, it's horrible.
Have you seen the one with the sweating profusely?
Yes. I saw the one with Joel riding the horse
with the legs.
Yeah, with his daughter, and she's like Plastic Man. It's like, what the fuck?
Ellie's looking like something from Dead Space on the back of his shoulders.
Yeah.
There was a funny bug.
Greg was that, it's not the PC. It's not that the PC is incapable of running it. It's just the optimization and things like that. In terms, it's a software issue. It's not a hardware issue. They just have to, patch it up.
It's a software issue because the hardware is so fluid on PC, whereas on console it's a walled garden. They know what they're programming for. But look, the only thing I didn't like about what Greg said, but I think it's great. I mean, Greg and I don't know how I feel about Greg Miller these days. I used to count him as a buddy and somebody I liked in the industry. I'm sure he's still that. I mean, he seems like a nice enough guy, but I didn't like what he did to Colin. It doesn't matter. It's a different story. But the point is the only thing I didn't like about it was it perpetuated this really bad narrative that to listen to Greg Miller, it would sound like PCs are where they were in the year 2000, where you went to Best Buy and you bought the game and you had to download drivers and it didn't work. That's not 95% of the experience. You go to Steam, you download it, it works. And if it doesn't, you hit a button and you get your money back. The number of games that you can play on PC that you can expose yourself to if you love the art form. Yeah. And it's expensive. So not everybody has the money, but if you have the money and you're willing to part with it and you love the games medium, you have to have a PC. I'm not saying you don't have to have a console, but you're missing out on so much that's happening in the art form, both commercially and just artistically, that it's bad. It's bad to miss out on that if you love the art form. So
that, and what he did it's kind of an outdated kind of joke almost, because that's not where the PC is at now. And I argue about it all the time. I was like, no, it's not that bad. If you're struggling, then something you will have problems. PCs definitely have a propensity to have more problems because they're more dynamically fluid-based systems, whatever. They're not fixed, but still, it's a far cry from that. Update drivers, it's not working, because I was there. And I loved it, even despite the headaches then. JD Gamer with a $20 super chat. Thank you, man. He goes, Sony's screwed themselves. I say that because relationships matter, and just because you're on top today doesn't mean that you'll be on top tomorrow. Is this still the porn chat? And that's their problem, and they know it. Just ask Blockbuster and Netflix. I don't think Sony are being lackadaisical about it. I think tactically they're just doing what they're doing, but I will enjoy it because it makes PlayStation look like a bitch. And that image is, they're doing what they have to, but they're throwing inadvertently their own studios, or intentionally, under the bus, the same way you said it, Jeffy. I said the same thing. Like, it's obviously console warring point just to piss people off. Like, I believe in your first parties more than you do, you sods. But that's that. The Last of Us hopefully will get fixed. But the big news, the sad news, is E3 is dead. It is dead. Is this it? It's over. It's finished. Jeffy's gone. He's like, I can't take it anymore. A whole new world. It's dead. I'm working on a video on the death of E3. Hey, so you know how hyped I was on E3. You talked about it incessantly for about 2 years. Last year got cancelled. We're going to go E3. I booked my time off, ready to go finally. It was such a big thing. And then we find out E3 is it came in in like another drop. That one's dropped. Devolver did. He's wearing the Souls hoodie. Yes, that looks so lit. It's better than my one.
Am I supposed to take this thing off?
No, don't take it off.
That seemed like more cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, shout out to you, man. That's wearing the Source hat. So wicked. So wicked to see, man. But E3 is dead, Jaffe. Ubisoft pulled out, Sega pulled out, Devolver pulled out. Their pull-out game was strong because everyone just cancelled and E3's cancelled. What does that mean?
The only thing Yves Guillemot's ever pulled out of is probably.
My God.
But or at least the company, whatever. What is your question? Sorry.
So do you think E3 is dead? It's a sad moment.
Yeah, it's dead. It's dead. Death. I was at the very first one. I was at almost every one. I was when it was in Santa Monica, in the hotels. I was in Atlanta. I loved it. But yeah, there's no need for it. It's like the circus. I mean, like the circus with elephants. Well, that's in America. There's no more circuses with animals, right? It's just like, that's a thing of the past. And it was great. It was fun. I think it's important not to over romanticize it, but it was worth romanticizing at times because it was really fucking cool. And I had some wonderful times there, both as a fan and as a creator. But there's no need for it anymore. And just like we were talking about with AI sort of paving the way for what's next, there will always be a desire and a need and a market for getting fans of anything together. And that's not going to go anywhere. But E3 in its current form, it just doesn't make any sense. I long for the day when a lot of these conventions are virtual. In like 3D space. I didn't love Home all that much, but to think about what a Home 2.0 would be for like PSX and the demo, it could, sure, but it doesn't have to be. But you're walking around the space. You can meet with developers. You can ask them questions. You can hit a button and be playing a demo. You can get digital giveaways and goodies. And then you can even have fucking actors playing the characters. Like there's Ratchet and there's Kratos and there's, Sarah from Last of Us after she got shot and died. And she's kind of like walking around and you can like at Disneyland and stuff. I think there's something about the geek convention space where that's really going to be the next exciting development. But as for E3 though, I mean, ReedPop could not offer publishers a reason to part with the money. There was not enough reason to do it. So it sucks, but even PAX, somebody in your chat saying PAX is still fire. It is. But most of the people who go to PAX are now indie PC games. You're not seeing big booths anymore at PAX because it doesn't make sense, but it does for smaller teams.
Did you see how quickly Jeff Keighley did not hesitate? Oh
yeah, Jeff's a monster.
He was on it. Yeah, like he had that tweet prepared.
Yeah, just ready to cook, and bam, there he was. He was apparently at the BAFTAs, and yet he still found time to tweet from multiple channels. And
Jeff, you kind of answer my question already, because to me, E3 used to be the Super Bowl for us, especially back in the day. I remember when Halo 2 was first shown, and back then we had magazines and stuff like that to get access to it before we started seeing it on computer screens and stuff like that. But I knew at one point the most important aspect of it was small developers was able to do backdoor deals and kind of rub and bump shoulders with people they wouldn't necessarily get access to. But you kind of answered that when you was putting it in a virtual space, 2.0 and
But not even that, though. In America, at least, and maybe that's why Gamescom is still happening. In America, that exists at GDC. That opportunity exists at DICE. Okay. And those are a lot less expensive shows to go to for most of these companies. It's not like Sony has a big booth on the floor at GDC where they're, they have a booth, they have a presence. So those things exist. It really is. You've got to offer. If you go back to the very beginning, E3 served a couple of very specific concrete purposes, and once those were removed, it's kind of like when they had a league of their own, the women playing baseball when a lot of the men were off to war. Whether you liked it or loved it, when the men came back, people said they don't want to keep paying to see a lot of women play baseball. They'll watch the men again.
Yeah.
It's just the thing existed because there was a need for it to exist. Yeah. And so I think what will happen is somebody out there who's entrepreneurial will look and go, there's a lot of fans that want this event. They want something. Mm-hmm. And then and I'm sure Reed Pop tried. They just didn't have any good ideas, clearly, or good enough ideas. They look at it and they say, what can we do, whether it's virtual, whether it's real, to bring that, into a place that is a real life fan event that's profitable and is satisfying. I mean, that need will be satisfied. There's no entrepreneur out there who's not going to go, I can do something with that, because it's clear there's an audience, but nobody knows what the sex is yet,
I always thought, with the high cost of developing games and stuff like that constantly increasing, I think that money that would have been spent setting up all that is better spent elsewhere.
Of course.
Plus you have, Microsoft and PlayStation, who's kind of consolidating their presence down to developer directs and state of play, which it costs less money to make a YouTube video, than it is to spend money on audio equipment, setting up stages and all that.
And I'll tell you something else, and I would pay for this. I would pay Sony for this. I would pay Xbox for this. So they could monetize it. But, and again, I don't mean to, I know some people want to go IRL, and that's great. But if we're just talking, again, being at most of the E3s as a fan, what was great was the information that came about new games, the access to developers talking about their games, and most importantly, being able to play all these fucking new games before they came out, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you have PC and you have Steam, you are wealthy with options, because every couple of weeks there's a festival, right? Whether it's the Steam Next Fest, or right now they're doing like the British Game Week or whatever.
BAFTA thing. Yeah.
Right. BAFTA was part of it. But the idea of like, you can go into Steam Next Fest and play 600, 700 games that aren't out yet, all for free. Right. If Sony were to say, you know what, we're going to do our own kind of version of that, or Microsoft, we're going to do our own version, it costs you $5 to get in. It's a week long of events. There's all these demos. There's these panels that you can only watch on your PS5 or PS4 or wherever you watch them, but you have to you have to have a virtual ticket. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd do it in a fucking heartbeat, man.
Yeah. It's a sad moment, because even I was looking forward to it, kind of forcing myself to believe that this was going to be an event that captured the vibes of the old ones. But for me, it was like the Christmas for gamers. It was like the big show. Like everyone, when Sony dropped out, that's where the damage started to happen, and it felt like, okay, it's started losing its bluster now. Now it's just like, it's not, you can't have the biggest, like one of the biggest players not there. So it was still holding on to it, and now it's gone. Working on a video on it, just compiling, because we got some epic moments there. But yeah, I mean, Asa, you I don't know if you were a fan of E3 or thinking of going, but what's your take on E3? Just
Forza was like historically a fan of it. It always had its problems. There are always things that you could improve in terms of like the scope and the scale and what kind of news was being delivered and how much of it was CGI and all these kind of conversations that we used to have. But I'm going to miss those conversations. The reality, like, I don't blame Sony for leaving, because the reality is that technology has transformed the digital reach of these companies, and they don't need E3 in the way that they used to. So it became a very expensive proposition when they can deliver their own shows. I don't like Summer Game Fest. I'll say that outright. If anybody is like looking for places to watch trailers and things, watch Summer Game Fest, the event that they produce for themselves, the 3-hour show full of adverts or whatever they do. Watch that on their channel, but do not touch their channel to watch Ubisoft stuff or Xbox stuff or PlayStation stuff. Go and watch Jeff Grubb's Game Mess, because at least he's like open about what he's doing and having fun with it, rather than just claiming and hooking on to what everyone else is doing. Ubisoft came out straight away. They said, we're not doing E3, we're doing our own show. And within like 10 minutes, there was like, Ubisoft are doing a show as part of Summer Game Fest. Ubisoft didn't mention them once. So challenge their integrity and watch it on Ubisoft's own damn channel.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, Jeff, it did perpetuate that image of him being a vulture. The moment he didn't even hesitate, the corpse was still warm, and boom, there he was tweeting about it. But I guess you have to do that in business, I guess. As Jaffe says, fuck morals. Right, Jaffe? You don't give a shit. about
I give it. Okay, I'll tell you what. I know you are, but I'll tell you what. If people suddenly peel off and don't watch the Game Awards in the same numbers or Game Fest, then he will have miscalculated. But my guess is no one, including you, are going to be like, "Oh, there's 20 reveals this summer. I'm not watching it though because the corpse was still warm." Right? It does,
no chance. No
that's
chance.
all. That's all I'm fucking saying. So it's not. It's not that I don't agree with you morally, but you know, they're looking at the bottom line and going. Audiences can say they care. They don't care. They don't care. No, we're living in a. I'm living in a country where literally you had people try to overthrow the government. And people are still voting for the leader who tried to overthrow the government. They don't care. You think they really care about the facts? Come on now. And we'll be right back. But listen, when we come back, we're going to show everybody how to make their own watermelon salad. I know it sounds crazy. But the truth of the matter is this was a big hit back in the 1800s, and we're going to bring it back. We'll see you right after the break.
Brilliant. Improv as well. Well done.
No, thank you.
Impressive. RG Viper X for the $5 super chat. Because E3 is not getting pregnant this year. Everyone pulled out. Yes, they did. Yes, they did, especially Keely. So yeah, that's a sad moment. We will still hold on to those memories because there are a few epic moments which I'll compile in this video. We'll touch tip, hold hands, and say goodbye to E3. Game delays, another feature of this generation. We had 3 big ones. We had Atlas Falls. It's a few weeks and it looked good, but it's a small delay. But then the other ones are a bit raising the eyebrows. Arc 2 is delayed by a year and a bit. It's now coming to late 2024. I still believe this game is a scam.
Well, they had to find Vin Diesel's shirt. So every time I see that trailer, it's like, I got no clothes on. I'm Vin Diesel. That's the hook, I guess. I don't know.
He's just got his vest on, but he's trying to hold on to his family. He says, well, Arc 2 got delayed. He says Arc is the best game. This is a lot of it is fluff. But they're blaming Unreal Engine 5. Always trying to say Unreal Engine 5 is incredibly new tech to us, and we aimed to use this cutting-edge tech to its full potential. As we learn more about the engine and develop the sequel, we have adapted our workflows, adjusted our pipelines. See, I'm side-eyeing Arc 2 because ever since you saw, which is playing on stream now, this weird all-in-engine trailer, like in-game. They don't say in-engine, they say in-game. That's ridiculous because that's obviously fake. And if you know what Arc 1 looks like, I'm not saying they can't do it. Prove me wrong. But all of this screams CGI. Acer, you're the tech bod. Does this look real? Dude, this is complete bullshit material.
You
surely.
have a literal developer on the panel. I am not the tech bod.
Jaffe, have you seen Arc 2's trailer? Do you think this is bullshit?
I'm not a developer. Even when I was working in games, I was a designer. I know basic. 10 clear screen. That's all I fucking know how to do. What am I looking at on your show?
Yeah, no, the Arc 2. Oh, it's gone now. The trailer for it. Do you know about Arc 2?
I mean, I know what Arc is, and I know what Arc 2 is, and I know they announced it a long time ago. Yeah. But is it the latest one from 3 months ago? I'll look at it right now. There was one
there was a few while ago. It was like a year ago.
That's not real. What are you talking about? You mean with the girl with the flower? And the Venus flytrap, and then it kind of walks away. Oh God, that's not real time. Come on,
it's bullshit. That's what I'm saying. If you look at what Arc 1 looks like, this looks like one of those. It's like bullshit. And then they're like, "Oh, we delayed it," and it said Unreal Engine 5, and don't give any specifics. And then they say we won't show you any gameplay for it all of this year. I'm like, this is one of those like that Hassan guy with his abandoned game almost, but obviously it's a studio that has made a game. It's a bit weird. Multiversus though is really weird. The beta came out, is going offline. So someone like me,
that's great
for the pack, like paid for the the season pass, is gone. The game is offline.
No, you'll get it. It's coming back.
Has that ever been done? Has that ever been done though?
And I don't think so.
But then say, "Oh, we'll see y'all."
I reckon they've done that. I don't reckon
because nobody's playing it.
Exactly. That's exactly why. They're not. The only reason is because you saw the death of so many free-to-play gas games, even ones that made a wave for some Rumbleverse. You had all these kind of games, and Multiversus had this massive blow up, huge, and then dead. There's silence, and that meteoric rise, and then deathly silent. So they need to pivot, and the only reason this is all a marketing thing. They're gonna.
Well, but it's also I appreciate it from a once developer thing, which is because ultimately they have the war chest to say we don't have to shut down. We know there's something compelling here, and I think even if you look at the press release they put out, the world of games as a service now is a little different, or maybe it's a lot different than it was X number, like even a year ago, in the sense that the cadence of new content has got to be like a fucking fire hose. You've got to be able to tune in. Like DC just announced their Hearthstone / Marvel Snap competitor, and I don't know how robust it's going to be, but every single week they're going to have new single player content based on a classic comic book from DC. That's every week. There's a reason. Marvel Snap every month is a brand new season pass, right? And I think Multiverse came out and they weren't prepared with that level of content drop frequency. And so I think they're looking at it going, okay, if we really want to make this work, and we need to, that's right. We have to figure out how to build our production pipeline around a lot more meaningful drops more frequently. And I think that's great that they have the money to do that versus saying we're going to shut down a game that I haven't played it in a while. But I remember when it first came out, a lot of people were saying this is genuinely a legitimate Smash Bros competitor in terms of mechanically. And I was like, I think it's great.
But do you feel the same about R2 as well, or some of these games that's getting delayed is pretty much getting out of the way of your Diablo 4s, your Starfield, your Spider-Man's. Every story is different. I mean, you delay a game. There's a difference between delaying a game for a month and a half because the roadmap has changed in terms of what's releasing, and then delaying it for a year. When you delay it for a year, it's probably because it's not ready. I mean, the only time I can remember was like Siphon Filter 2. This is back in the day. I think Siphon Filter 2 was finished, or 3, one of the two. I'd have to ask Garvin. It was finished, it was tested, it was rated, it was done. And they let it sit for like 8 to 12 months for a strategic reason. I don't remember what it was. But that is not common. That is, it's usually because it's just not ready. Movies will do that. Where's a movie I saw the other day that was shot 3 years ago? And I was like, fuck, I don't even remember what it was, but it was awesome. And I'm like, I was surprised to learn that it was shot and finished in 2018. But that's the type of insight I look for, because, as gamers, we're always on the outside looking in. And sometimes when we don't get enough access or information to something, we kind of tend to create our own narratives.
I do the same thing, though. I do the same thing. I don't know why Ark is delayed. I mean, it could be anything, but, it could be Vin Diesel's a pain in the ass to work with. And he said he wasn't going to fuck around with shit. And then he came in and he said, I want these 8 new things. And his contract allows for 10 things. And you never know. You never really know.
When I seen the end of 2024, I say, wow, that's a super long delay. I can see if you was early 2020, you're just gonna go straight to the end. Damn near. That's right. 2025. So it could be the game that they want to re-strategize, looking at the landscape of how survival games and games as a services.
That's right. You know what's funny? You got a guy in your chat named Shade saying, and this is what's funny is that it's and again, I don't mean this like disrespectfully to people who don't know, but people should know better. Like, people should have a bit more media literacy. When he says games shouldn't be designed around business models, that's the dumbest thing creatively. Every single fucking piece of creative entertainment that's not an art house project is designed with the business model in mind. You know how I know it? It's why Gaz keeps bleeping out the word shit, because he wants to make more money and he doesn't want to be demonetized.
Actually, that's not true. You actually proved Shade wrong. I think it adds to the whole. By saying fuck, I've said fuck so many times, but saying it adds to the comedic value.
Say it again. No, look. Okay, maybe not, but there are a lot of YouTubers though that consciously say, I won't cuss for the first 5 minutes because it gets demonetized. I mean, movies are the same way. Movie people are like, it's wokeness. It's like, no, they put the Little Mermaid in that movie as a black Little Mermaid instead of a white Little Mermaid because they figured that would make them more money for whatever reason. Now, is it true? Is it not? I don't know. But it's the same reason they put Tom Cruise in a movie instead of Jeremy Renner in a movie. If they can get Tom Cruise. Every time somebody invests in an entertainment product, the business model is driving it. That's a ridiculous concept, but fans seem to think that all this stuff is created in this artistic vacuum of like kumbaya. And it's like, here is Neil Druckmann's vision. It is unsullied. It is exactly what was in his head.
Jeffy, do you want to respond to Shade's?
No, fuck that guy.
Because that's why people hate gaming now and withhold redemption.
Withhold redemption?
I don't know what redemption he's going to bestow upon it all, but
that's why people hate gaming. What is
redemption?
I don't know.
Watch out, everyone! Shane's withholding redemption. You guys want to go out to a movie tonight? I would, but Shane's withholding the redemption. What the fuck does that even mean?
That's what I was thinking. Sorry, Shane, but that was fucking stupid. But yeah, well, we don't know what games are getting delayed. Everything is around business model. Even YouTube, generally, Jeffy, you're right. Like the algorithm, shorts. Do that. I want to do longer form videos. I want to do one video a month. That's amazing. Put all my production value into it, and I would thought that subs would grow. No, YouTube doesn't give a shit about that. So what do I do? Just sit there, Reddit, fester, and die, and not have eyes on my content, or adjust and adapt to the business model, which is either foisted.
That's why movies are 2.5 hours long at most, usually, so they can show so many movies a day. The exhibitors are like, I don't want your fucking 5-hour epic because I can only show that 3 times a day. Yeah, okay, well, we'll split it up into 2 parts and call it Dune 1 and Dune 2, whatever. I'm excited for Dune 2. I love the first one. I love David Lynch's Dune. I love the book. I'm a fan. Yeah, it's great.
I never watched that one. I'll give it the $5 super sticker. So I keep hearing how these new engines will make game devs faster. Unreal Engine 5 for Arc 2 and expect games to take 6+ years to be made now. Lame. The Unreal Engine on paper should be making things easier. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just side-eyeing them. Unreal Engine is still kind of, I guess, newer. But game
this is the same shit. It's the same shit. Well, it's kind of like I remember when PS2 came out. PS2 came out, and it's like you're never going to have games that run like Twisted Metal 2 at 15 frames a second because PS2 is so powerful. It's like, yes, you will, because people are going to want all the graphics, all the latest and greatest, and it's going to bring your CPU back down. It's always if you're playing the game at the tip of the spear, that's where it's most expensive in terms of production value, and that's when it takes a long time. But listen, games now, anybody can make a fucking game now almost. And when they get the AI shit in there, when you're able to say, you can already build me a Mario level in AI. I've done it, but you can basically say, build me the first level of Tomb Raider, but set it in a city. Okay, now I want it to look cel shaded. Okay, now I want to have a ramp right here. That is where we are going. We are getting there. Right. So games are easier to make. But if you want to see the next Naughty Dog, and that's what you think of as games, which is great, that's going to take a long time and cost a lot of money because they're going for photorealism and they're going for a level of fidelity and depth to merit the $70 price point.
Yeah, I see a few software engineers use ChatGPT to write code for them and to clean up their code.
And that's something?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Crazy. Yeah. Even at work, we're thinking of devising ways to pre-populate generate reports. That's a basic compared to what you're talking about, like talking to an interface to build. That will change the paradigm completely of gaming. The AAA space, all of that is just so defunct of creativity generally.
Because it's expensive, not because these companies are idiots. It's because the audience buys production value more than they buy unique gameplay.
And as technology advances and process power gets more powerful and faster, the AI gets to work more quicker, so you're able to put out stuff more, especially from a gaming perspective. Then what Hardgeek was just talking about taking 6 years to develop, that comes down. Maybe one,
so what does that mean
1 or 2 years.
It doesn't come down at that. It doesn't come down at that level of fidelity, though. That will always be when you're the best of the best, and the question is, it's going to cost more and more and more, and the audience is shown, the more expensive it gets and the less the audience grows for those kinds of games, which has been shown it's not growing, the harder it becomes to justify spending that kind of money when they could look at something like Fortnite or Among Us or MLB The Show and go, we can make much more money spending a hell of a lot less, and that fan base isn't growing. Which is really, again, I'm sorry, but I just go off the rails, but it's a brilliant philosophical conversation to have, because ultimately, what does it really show? It shows that the bread and butter of the medium has nothing to do with production value, graphics, ray tracing, all the stuff a lot of these console warriors on both sides like to spout. Because when the rubber meets the road and the companies have to make a decision, they go where the money is. And where the money is in games is in interactivity and gameplay. It's got nothing to do. I mean, it has some to do, but it's all you have to do is look at what hits. Look at Jim Ryan's not making 10 more Uncharted style games. He's trying to crack the fucking Fortnite code. Because that's what hits.
Fortnite code. Yeah. No, absolutely.
A game could look it can have amazing graphics, but if it's no replay value there or the gameplay to match how the game look, you're just looking at a piece of art. That's
like the
right. But then when they chase too hard, they become Ubisoft, right? So you're absolutely right. That's how the industry works. And you chase that money and you look at these formulas and you look at the data and see what is working and what is selling, and you lose something profound. And eventually, hopefully, things bounce back and go, actually, people do like quality and innovation. Hopefully.
But that's I got to take issue with that. Quality and innovation is not always, but often rewarding. But quality and innovation has nothing to do in games with production value. Yeah. Right? I mean, quality, one could argue that a lot of people were like shitting on Tears of the Kingdom, which was revealed 10 minutes this week. Well, I don't know.
Next. Yeah,
I thought it looked amazing. I thought it looked like a great deal of fun, but people were like, "Oh, it's so fucking old. It looks like last gen, this, that, and the other." I'm like, that's not what it's about. I know it is about that for some people, and I do respect that. I absolutely do. But
it's quite funny you say that, because with that example, what you've just said about production value. And this week, we saw the two competing mindsets. We saw Legend of Zelda, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, Horizon Burning Shores DLC weighed up against the Tears of the Kingdom. And you had these two camps bitterly arguing.
And Burning Shores looks amazing, but I don't want to play it.
See?
Compared to Tears of the Kingdom, it's not even on the radar comparatively. And look at Horizon Zero Dawn, like that was still is a visual treat.
One of the best looking games ever. Yep.
That's how I felt about Ratchet and Clank. Looked amazing.
I love that game though.
Gameplay wise, it really
that's fair. I loved it, but that's one of the best looking games ever. And I would say between Ratchet and Horizon Forbidden West, one of those is the best looking video game ever made. But I played Horizon for about an hour and I was done. But Breath of the Wild looks fresh and unique, and I can fucking fuse shit together and create some. I mean, that's
what they showed though. The gameplay aspect of it,
right?
Which is the most important aspect of it.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good point. Is it post up? It's the gameplay aspect. But if you look at the Burning Shores DLC, whilst it does show about gameplay, that most of it is in the spectacle. Look at the volumetric clouds. Look how nice the water looks. Like you dived into it. Whereas you start contrast with Tears of the Ponies. Tears of the Kingdom.
Guys, I have to ask you, when you play that, you can't get mad at me for going off the rails. That is like catnip.
I never get mad at you for going off the rails. I rely on it.
Keep going.
That's from Eric Andre's show, for the people who don't know where that little thing is from. To be right back. Though. Oh, Tears of the Kingdom looks beautiful. I watched it 10 minutes. We had Ionuma-san, the producer of the Legend of Zelda series, actually sat down and explained all of this stuff. And the difference, like, I didn't get involved in this war. Like, I just like the PlayStation guys versus Nintendo. They were crying about the visuals. Look at that, and look at this crappy looking game. The horse looks the same. Blah blah blah. I'm like, are you not seeing the gameplay ramification? The fusing of weapons is so clever, and then the way you do it, you mix it with a mushroom, or there's so many different things. There's a mechanic where verticality is a big focus of this game. Obviously, other than this, you've got these towers in the sky. Actually, incidentally, also for Horizon Burning Shores. But think about the implementation here. In this demo, later on, you'll see the climbing mechanic is still there. People cry about it. But to counter that, or to put a spin on it, you can go into a cave and just teleport to the top of a structure.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Go through it, not teleport.
Yeah, that was incredible. I think we're in an era, and I say this all the time, where, and I think gamers nowadays are too focused on cinematic gaming, right? Because it's of the perception that if
PlayStation games,
they always. Thank you. I was gonna get that. I was gonna go there. Thank you. Well, PlayStation game and the PlayStation community tends to think if a game looks graphically impressive, that it's automatic. Oh, that game is nice. You see how it looks? That's gonna be fire. You ain't even played it. You don't even know how it feel. You don't even know what kind of gameplay. You're just saying the game is gonna be great just off his look. And then when you see something like Zelda and it doesn't live up to the cinematic qualities that you're expecting, you assume the gameplay is going to be trash because the graphics don't meet your standards. But most of the games like that have excellent gameplay. And most of the games you look at that at graphically impressive, like Jeffy said, with Horizon, you know what I'm saying?
Horizon, people liked it. It was critically, but last night, I think a friend of mine, Everborn, he was sharing Quantum Break. Beautiful game that still holds up visually today, but gameplay-wise, it was hollow as hell. Order 1886, the same. For me, Horizon is a Ubisoft game, and I can't vibe with that. Well, this is a more.
And just to be clear, I don't begrudge someone. Like in the chat, Albert says some gamers pay $500 for AAA graphics and gameplay. That's why it's the best. There are people who value that, and that's great. I respect that. But ultimately, though, you're a vocal minority is number one. And you're getting more and more minority as these games get more expensive to make. The other thing I would say is people who say they buy PlayStation or Xbox because they value graphics more than anything else are fucking morons. Because I've said this before, if you really value graphics above all else, then you'll get a PC. You're driving, you're driving like a Toyota. What's above the Corolla?
The Americans have different versions.
You're driving. No, you're not even you're driving like a Camry, but you think you're in a Ferrari. It's like, dude, it's a fucking console. It's $500. If you really love the goddamn graphics and all that, that's great. I respect it. Go get a PC, but don't act like you're looking. It's like that guy who puts a spoiler on the back of his fucking Corolla and has lights under it. It's like, dude, you ain't Dom from Fast and the Furious. You're in a Corolla. You know, that's what it's like.
They change, but I keep them clean, though.
It's like as soon as I catch up with you, I'm going to kick your ass. It's going to take me a while. But you're going to have to pull over to pee, and that's when I'm going to get you.
Okay. Some of these builds are stealthy. They have power under the hood. I know. I was in the car. But I mean, that kind of is funny how we talked about that. And we'll see how it pans out. But I will say, like, beautiful art style, whatnot. Asa, when you watch this, I know you've been screaming for a hardware upgrade. Did this entice you a little bit, or did this scream?
Nintendo specifically have been screaming for hardware updates. Yeah, I have a Switch. I don't use it very much. I'm not that interested. I don't understand the Zelda games. I don't know what Link is. Is he an elf? Is he a grown-up? Is he a child? Like, what is this world? It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me because I'm still waiting for Nintendo to give me a discount on Breath of the Wild, and I stubbornly refuse to play it until it goes on a decent sale. So I have never played it, and I don't know anything about it. I've not played a Link Zelda-y game since the Super Nintendo. And I'm all right with that,
we never played Ocarina of Time. What?
Not for more than like 5 minutes.
I don't know if he's an elf or not.
You don't know if he's an elf or not. You don't know, like, what is Link? You must know. You played all the games.
He is a person. I am not gonna categorize him.
You're racist. I don't care what he is. I don't see
exactly.
elves.
I don't see elves.
I see heroes. Okay, and in Link, he's a goddamn hero.
That's
Grown
right.
up or child.
Listen, it's just so great this time of year. The kids are back in school, and you can just have.
Oh man, this is.
you can just have
like
a little.
He's killing it, bro. He's killing it.
You can just have a little me time. You know what's great? A Yankee Candle. There's 5 new flavors coming out, and we've got 3 of them here on set. This one over here smells like cedarwood with a little bit of naughtiness. Coming up. Okay, sorry.
Coming up, Forza Horizon Rally. It has released. I know you haven't played it, Jaffe.
I bought it. I haven't played it.
What's it? I guess I'm the only one who's played it. Not much you can talk about it other than I hadn't played Horizon in a while. Played it yesterday and I loved it. It's one of those games where I just play with the HUD off. Doesn't help me in terms of winning races or whatnot, but the game is stunning. So if you want to go back and really sample a beautiful looking arcade racer, you need to try out Forza Horizon Rally. Brilliant game. It's a brilliant game. But another game, finally to wrap it up, and I'm conscious of the time, Final Fantasy 16 got its fair share of critics, but as we see more and more of gameplay, and it got a 27-minute like gameplay, Final Fantasy 16 is building up to be something very special. Jaffe, are you a Final Fantasy fan? Have you ever played those games?
Sure. I'm not a not fan. It's not really on my radar. I played. I used to I love 3, and I know it's not Final Fantasy, but I loved like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, and then when 7 came out, I played that. After 7, I dabble like in 9, was 9 one with the girls or something. And then I played the one with the guys on the card trip recently.
Oh yeah.
But I don't fucking know. They're all, I don't fucking know. But the new one is not, I haven't played Crisis Core. I haven't played the remakes. I hear they're great, but there's so much other stuff to play. If the new one really has the world talking for more than a month, I'll probably play it, but it's not really on my radar.
I think what this might push people, or how it might push itself into people's radar, well, other than the fact that it looks visually very, very beautiful and very capable, it's the combat system has always been alienated a lot of people. I know it's not you, but turn-based stuff has been divisive. I know they changed away from it. But the new combat system, Asa, you're a big Final Fantasy fan as well. The more we see of it, the more it looks impressive. Did you check out the 27-minute gameplay section for this?
I have not. So Final Fantasy, I love the series in general, particularly Final Fantasy 15 I didn't like as a game, but it had a phenomenal soundtrack, and they always do, so I can always rely on getting some value out of it, at least just for production value, even if I don't enjoy the way they deliver the gameplay and so on. Final Fantasy 16 for the longest time looked kind of terrible, and then the Game Awards trailer with Jeff Keighley and those shows that I boycott and all the rest of it was actually really good. Like, it caught me in December, and I was like, oh, actually, maybe they're going to luck out and deliver another good game like they did with Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Is it just on PS5 or PC as well?
Just PS5 to begin with.
But there will be.
It's not on PC?
It's not on PC at launch, no.
I'm sure it will. Wow. There's a guy in the chat, Dorian Gray, says apparently black people don't exist in Final Fantasy. Fuck that game. But if they let Iron Galaxy do the PC port, you can get some black people. So, maybe you'll play it then.
Yo.
I mean,
Yo.
There's like a program. There's a programmer there working late going, I fucking hate that champion. I'm going to kill that motherfucker.
He been cooking the whole show.
The thing is, Marcus, I can't understand what. Oh, we're back. Oh, listen, it's going to be a titty shrinker this week, folks. But I got to tell you, Halloween is the best time of the year. What candy do you think is the most popular candy at Halloween? We have that right after this news break. Gaz, what's happening in the news? Is Trump going to jail, or is that little rascal going to get away again?
I don't know, but Andrew Tate came out, and hopefully we'll hear him break through the Matrix. He broke out of the Matrix. The the anniversary of the Matrix movie.
Wow.
That was like yesterday. See, that is some sauce. That was quite profound. RG Viper X, thank you for the $5 super chat. I refuse to purchase another Square Enix game due to overt racism coming from developers and director of the company. I saw this.
comment that he made.
Yeah. So as a black man, not me, you post up. What's your take on it? Because I saw I didn't get involved in. Last time I got involved in this full spoken thing, I thought the stereotypes like there's like checkbox, and I think culturally there's like I don't think Japanese people mean badly. I think it's a cultural thing of they perceive the West through Western stereotypes, and then perhaps build upon that. But in this game, there are no black people. What do you feel about that? I mean, there's, as a Muslim brown person, like we are always cannon fodder in games. I could talk about it for ages, but what do you think about it? Like, what does it make you feel a certain way?
I mean, I don't really rock with the game. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake for a bit just to see what the hoopla was about. But I think it was distasteful, from my perspective, to say the game is based off fantasy, and then he switched to reality, and
what was that? That makes no
medieval
sense.
times, and what's crazy to me was that on Twitter, when the issue about Forspoken and the stereotypes, you had a lot of people in the Black Twitter community defending it. And giving it a pass, and doing the same thing with this is distasteful. And the reason why I say that is when Halle Bailey was announced as Little Mermaid, they dragged her. Ariel's supposed to be white. Yeah, exactly. And then someone told me in my comment that no other race is complaining. Why are you? That's what somebody told me in my comment
about Halle Berry.
You are complaining.
No, about the I had made a
Final
tweet
Fantasy.
about the Final Fantasy, and I said like, "Yo, I pretty much said, what is this?" And somebody hopped in my comment section on Twitter saying, "No other race is complaining. Why are you?" And I say, "Huh?" I say, "You know, I don't rock with people like you. Move along. It's distasteful." If you're talking about if you're basing the game off medieval Europe, and to say in reality that black people didn't exist at that time, which they did, you're pretty much saying that black people don't exist to you.
Is that what the Square guy said about the Final Fantasy game coming?
Yeah. Final Fantasy
I didn't see that.
You finna pull it up.
Now I did get. Are you guys? I did get a launch. I got to give Square props though. They're more open to streamers and content people though. So like, are you guys going to the launch party? Did you guys? I'm sure, Gaz, you guys got the invite to the launch of it. I'm actually might go, even though I'm not a big fan.
What, Final Fantasy?
The Final Fantasy 16 launch like party or whatever.
I don't think so.
No,
okay.
I haven't heard of it.
It's going to be at Mar-a-Lago.
You know what?
In America?
Hey, Jeff,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jeff.
I didn't get it.
They're big fans of Final Fantasy there.
Jeff is
I have no idea.
Today, man. He been cooking the whole show, man.
Goddamn right.
I'll try to find the quote here, but yeah.
I got it. The quote says, which begs the question, why did they enforce a whites-only boundary in the first place? And they said, after acknowledging that the real world is more diverse than Valistia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, he continued, the story we are telling is fantasy, yes, but it is also rooted in reality. Which is it, Yoshida? You can't say that your fictional world isn't bound to reality and then use reality to explain why black people can exist in Valistia. Pick a struggle and stick with it. So
that's Kotaku's line, but the quote was, the story we are telling is fantasy, yes, but it's also rooted in reality. And I don't know what that means. Yeah. Look, I'm all for creative visions. If you have a creative vision and there's an overt reason, like, I mean, I also, as POC myself, I hate diversity for the sake of it. Like just shoehorning little brown person here. I'm like, all right, well, it would be nice if he served a purpose or some meaningful thought behind a character. Otherwise, I don't really care for like tokenism and like just these sentiments. But if there's a reason for it, then I'm in the fence here. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just like,
look, it's their game. They do what they want to do with it. They have every right to, if at the end of the day, either you're going to support it or you're not. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Either you're going to support it or not. And regardless of, because this interview was, I think, last year, back in November, and it didn't make any traction back then. And so it pretty much just resurfaced. So if people didn't care about it back then, they don't care about it now. Black people still going to go out and support the game because they're going to want to play it at the end of the day. So, to each his own at this point,
I mean,
I'll tell you what, as a non-POC, okay, the minute I get a Japanese guy in Madden playing is when I will fucking get on your side. Where are the Japanese players in Madden? That's what they're upset about. Can you imagine?
I think every culture go through a little bit of that, though.
I don't think. I know there's Japanese people in baseball and basketball and soccer. Has there ever been an NFL Japanese player?
But
NFL Japanese player.
That's
I don't think so. No, I don't watch it.
I mean, they're as a
I don't think so.
Group, they're not very big. I haven't seen a lot of big
wrestlers.
But if you look,
but you're not going to put that guy in a fucking, whatever 49ers helmet.
But if you look at anime, a lot of the characters, if not all of the characters, are westernized with Japanese voiceover. So,
I've never understood the Japanese culture well enough to have any real, response. Like I've read, there was an article about a black man who lived in Japan, and he's like, is it racist? He's like, it's less about it's racist, like it's racist in Alabama, and more about racist, like they're so not used to seeing a lot of black people that most people's experience with the black person is what they see in Western media. And so they don't really, so I don't think it's because they're just a bunch of shit people.
Nah.
Unlike the people of Alabama. I was raised in Alabama. I know what it's like. Some of them are great though, but but the Japanese black thing has always been weird to me. I've never really understood, but I also don't understand the androgynous thing. Like I would ask my boss, who was raised in Japan and Hawaii, so he's kind of mixed. His mom was American, or in America, his dad Japanese, or whatever. And he was just like, I'm like, okay, so like the characters in Final Fantasy, they look like women, and they dress all flashy and stuff, but they're the stars. What do they, or like Dante? Why does Dante come off as such a weirdo, but he's cool? And he's like, that's kind of like, there's this weird 25% irony and sort of love letter to American cheese. And then there's 75% where they genuinely think it's cool. And it's a very strange alchemy. Yeah, exactly.
You'll see a character and you think that character is a female, but it's actually a male. And you're like, well, he looks very feminine,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You see that a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's malice. I don't know. Give the benefit of the doubt.
I agree. I don't think it is, but I don't know.
But it just speaks to the medium advancing and this whole conversation, especially in the States. I think this predominantly, my most guessing, is a United States conversation about it. But I'm
Chat GPT make Tifa black, and make her black like
enough to not piss people off.
Whitney Houston black, not Angela Bassett black in terms of skin tone, and then right. I mean, that's the future.
Well,
I didn't know there was racism in the black community based on skin color. Apparently, like real dark black folks. At least in America, I was educated about this by a black friend the other day, that the real darker skinned black folks in America get treated worse by the lighter skinned black folks in America. Like there's actually
that goes back to slavery. They used to put the light skinned blacks against the dark skinned black. Just
I had no idea.
The house Negro versus the field Negro. That is real. That is real. And that's why even even in the entertainment and in media, you see a lot of the black actors bleaching their skin, making them
Really?
lighter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's big in Africa too. Where they
is that what happened to Morgan Freeman?
I don't
I'm
know.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I did not know that. I did not know that actors would. I was amazing.
Yeah,
Bleaching your
amazing.
skin like
prevalent in Africa too.
I was going to say that. I was in Jamaica, in a lot of colonial countries, the bleaching of the skin, even Pakistan, it's always fair and lovely, like to make yourself whiter. It's a big thing. Like even in African Asian countries, to be paler. It's just the way people have. I don't know.
Well, welcome. It's colonialism still has its fucking.
Yeah, propaganda, how things are marketed. Well, black women used to have the afro and stuff like that, but TV and entertainment told them to straighten their hair up, make it long, and all that stuff. So it gets deep, man.
Did you see that Jonah Hill movie on Netflix with Eddie Murphy? You People.
Oh yeah, that's really good. I actually
I enjoyed it, but now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't have. What happened?
No, it was really good. Have you?
Yeah, I liked it.
Oh no, it was really good. It was really funny. Because I don't want to ruin the plot of it. Great movie, by the way. Just watch it because you've got a black family. The woman's black. She has a boyfriend who's Jewish, who's white, and her dad is Muslim. So he's like,
and that's why I was asking my friend, because in that movie, Eddie Murphy's talking about the skin color. He's like, this whole area used to be filled with, like, I don't know how Eddie Murphyized it, but like really dark-skinned black people. And that's when I was talking to this person. I said, is that the real thing?
We're pretty much indicating gentrification. Yeah, that's the thing.
It's
Chicago
called colorism. Just Mr. Too Opinionated.
Yeah.
Did you not like the movie?
No.
Why not?
You watched it? You didn't like it?
I think it was typical BS.
What part though? What part?
I mean, they all of it. I mean, they tried to do it on a comedic level, like from us and from my perspective in our community. We've seen that before. We've seen those movies 1,000 times. We've seen that message 1,000 times. And a lot of times when we see a trailer of a movie that's similar to this, and we think it's going to really hit on the deeper aspect of what's really going on, then it hits off on a comedic level, and it don't really. I just thought it was.
I thought it was like medicine wrapped in a piece of bread you give a dog. I think it was for white racist people or people who weren't mean racist people, but people who were like, oh shit, I'm racist. It's like, yeah, you're not like a bad person. You just it's ingrained in the society, and if you don't know that, I think the movie does a good job of being eye-opening. But yeah, if you're looking for like a deep look, I don't think a black person in America would look at that and go, that was pretty profound. They go, shit.
Before you got some from what you were supposed to get from, and that's what it was supposed to do. But from my perspective, we've seen that. We've seen that 1,000 times.
Right.
To me, I kind of watched it because from the Muslim angle, it appealed to me, and I was just like, it's quite funny. There's like seeing that kind of dynamic, and it's nice, like the similarities and whatnot. Because they're really the same.
Mom's and pops Muslim. My pops was a Muslim. He passed, but my mom's Muslim. She prays. She doing a fasting. She go to the mosque every Sunday.
Yeah. Mosque every Sunday. Tell her she's got the date wrong. That's church, bro. Fridays we go to the mosque.
Well, I don't know. She raised me as a Muslim, and somewhere along the lines, I just straight went off from home. But I know she's there Fridays. She's pretty much there the weekend to be in the kitchen cooking, doing all that stuff.
Moms.
Yeah, mom. She tried to give me the my sister tried to get me to go to Savior's Day. She deep into it, gave us all Muslim names and everything.
Oh, shout out to you. I hope you're circumcised. I know we all are, apart from maybe Asa, because Daffy was Jewish.
Yeah!
And
So this is the point. So people have been saying in chat, like, "Oh, I want the conversation to move on," and I don't actually. I think these conversations are. I don't want to confine them out of sight and mind. It's good to have these conversations, but I don't have a lot to contribute. And then you say this, and I want the conversation to move on.
Let me transition. What's the next topic?
The final topic is Xbox stops this $1 deal. People lose their shit.
Okay, give me the music, please. But we need the circumcised line, and then that kicks off the music.
Are you circumcised, David Jaffe?
Well, you'll have to come back after the break to find out that. Also, when we come back, Xbox has just done something crazy. Xbox has been $1 to get people in, like a little free taste for a long time. They've just ended that. Well, the Xbox community is not happy. We'll talk about that. I'll show you my penis, and we'll wrap it up coming up next.
Yo. Y'all been wilding. This has been what?
What did you agree to, huh?
Man, I love it though, man. I am loving the energy, man. I really am.
Rattling, baby.
Need to find some, definitely. Xbox stopped us $1 before that. Mac City ENT with a $2 super chat. Square is dog shit. Final Fantasy got a character in Gigarbo. I don't know what that means. But sorry, I read that too late. Xbox stopped this $1 deal. I thought, bloody hell, it's been 6 years, like still going. And the reactions to that from the fanboy perspective was, oh, there you go. But Xbox is not sustainable. I'm like,
price increase.
And like price increase. They've got a family plan, and I'm like, hold on.
The family plan is that's the price increases. They've introed the family plan for $40, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, it's not 40.
What is it?
It's not 40. It's supposed to be 25.
It's not out yet.
Okay. So 25, five members, friends or family, and you can use it in all different parts of the country, or do you have to be in the same house?
No, you don't have to be in the same household, long as you're in the same country.
That's crazy.
So you're getting Game Pass for $250?
You just, as long as you got someone email, you can add their email to the account.
That's a great fucking deal.
Yeah.
How many people? 5 people?
5?
It's actually 6. So you can have 5 people, but they still allow you to share Game Pass.
Oh.
So there is actually 6. So you could share Game Pass with somebody and then add the other 5 to the family. So.
Okay, well, that's great. So anybody complaining about that's a moron. Let's go back to the $1 thing then.
Yeah, the $1 thing. Everyone for ages, and the fanboys have been propping up the fact that the only reason Xbox Game Pass numbers are so high is because they're using this $1 deal to inflate it. People are doing it. And now it's going to show the true numbers. And I just wanted to, we don't have
Great. Shut up.
You know what's funny about that, though?
Xbox Game Pass is awesome. If you don't like it, no one cares. Is it sustainable? I don't know. You don't know. I don't care. I'm enjoying it now. You're like the person that's in a relationship with the beautiful woman, and all you can think about, what if she leaves me? Just shut up. She's with you now. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You know what's funny about that is that all the ponies that was trashing it, right? About it being on Oreo cookies pack and $1 this and $1. You come to find out once they ended it, they was using it.
Yeah, no.
They was mad because they couldn't use it no more. Like
they were like, "Oh, look what happened! Oh, they cancelled." I'm like, "Wait, hold on a minute. All of us have been paying full price for quite some time. Most of us playing Ultimate. What are you talking about?" It's like, okay, do you think that signals the death knell? And we had like a journalist like Ty Kim go, "Oh, well, that didn't take long." Following the FTC and the CMA's approval, saying, "Oh, look, this is them. The moment you give them any wins, they take away your $1 deal." That didn't take long. It took 6 years, you piece of.
And they said it was a price increase. Like,
I know, price increase. We have to call it a price increase. I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Like, it's a deal for 6 years.
And look, and they didn't give no energy to Sony when they removed the ability to stack, but you can still stack with.
Thank you.
No energy to that, but you give the energy.
It's so
you got a
dumb,
guy in your chat, KS, saying, "Jaffe, that's lazy thinking. You can enjoy Game Pass, but still consider the future implications." So why? What a waste of your life. You're only here for so many years.
Yeah.
You know what? That's like going to the movies and worrying about the budget of the movie you're watching. Who gives a shit? It's on the screen now. It's just
play devil's advocate, because I like Dune, and if Dune didn't succeed, because what happened with Blade Runner was incredible, one of the top, actually my number one movie of all time,
but nobody went to see it. It didn't make a lot of money, right? And
with Dune, Denis Villeneuve, they didn't sign off on the sequel because they needed to see whether or not enough people bought it. And as soon as it did well in the first week of box office, greenlit. So there's an argument there, like you say, Game Pass is so good, I don't want it to die.
But it's good, and it's good because it can survive or it can't. But you're never going to know. All these like backseat drivers and Monday morning quarterbackers, you've got a company as big as Microsoft willing to pay $70 billion to gamble on this fucking thing. I think they've got someone to run the numbers. Maybe they even used Excel because they know how that works. Because and maybe they're right and maybe they're wrong. But shut the fuck up. You don't know more than they do.
Would you say that to Colin Moriarty? Because he.
I would say.
Shut the fuck up, Colin Moriarty. Would you say that?
It depends on what his argument was. Like Colin, I respect because he would come at me, and if Colin came to me and said, yes, Jeffy, I don't have the numbers. Let me explain to you why I think it's relevant to have the conversation about sustainability, because this could be affected, A, and then B, because while I don't have the numbers, I have a history of these 4 products that came out and bombed, and they are built on the same philosophical itch that's being scratched by Game Pass. Then I wouldn't tell him to shut the fuck up. I'd say, even with all that, I might disagree, but I respect Colin because he's a smart guy and he's not going to argue from a place of emotion. Yeah. So, but if he was just like, this is not sustainable, Phil Spencer, then I'd say, Colin, you're a fucking moron.
Okay,
and then I would say Greg Miller was right. Greg Miller was right. I mean, but it's amazing we've been renewed for a second season. Come on back in the fall. We've got a little kid who's going to be the star of the show. She's witty and she's funny. She has no arms and legs, but she's still making a go of it. We cannot wait to see you on a new season of Wrapping Up the Sauce.
Strikes Back. Yeah. Have you heard of Nugget? No, we'll not talk about that. That will definitely get us demonetized. Nuggets galore. That's really bad. And on that, by the way, but actually, sorry, I got distracted there. Colin Moriarty's argument is predicated on the notion that, one, he says Phil Spencer's lying. I don't believe them when he said it's
about what?
About Xbox Game Pass being profitable. And the reason his argument is he says, well, all the lost sales from the first party sales and the production cost of building those games means that with Game Pass, it's not sustainable. I'm paraphrasing badly, but
but why are they doing it then? Right? I'm just saying they must feel that even if it's not making money now, they're in it for a long play, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Basically, what I wish fanboys would just acknowledge, like even somebody in the chat is saying Colin is open and just says, I don't like Xbox. That's fair. I respect that. Then it's like, okay, that's what you're really saying. Let's get down to what you're really saying, but don't act like, unless you've got, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I'm not even joking, unless you are like, you have autism spectrum disorder and you really have an issue with numbers and you're like, I have a hard time enjoying something if I don't know how I'm saying there might be some people out like that. Yeah. That's a teeny tiny percentage of the people who are actually using that as an excuse, because I guarantee you they're not eating at McDonald's or driving their car or going to a movie or watching a show or listening to a song and going, I can't fully enjoy this until I know that Christina Aguilera is getting paid. I mean, what? It just is. Just own the fact that you either like PlayStation more and it's irrational, and just be okay with it. But don't try to fucking come at me with logic.
What I don't get, and I agree with Jeffy. I think people, the PlayStation community is of the perception that Microsoft put Game Pass out there without doing their due diligence. They pay people thousands and millions of dollars to drum up numbers from 5, 10 to 20 years out to see if something is going to be successful before they even put.
I know.
Don't act like Microsoft just Just do it out there and then do the number. And then do
it's not like PSVR 2 where they did absolutely no research.
Exactly. And then you clown Microsoft for lowering the barrier for people to access Game Pass, right? With the $1 deal. And then when they take it away, you want to clown them. Like, make up your mind. What is your argument?
And what they also, people who like Game Pass, they don't have any money. I hear that one. It's like, you know what? I have money. I love Game Pass. Go fuck yourself. I love games, and Game Pass allows me to expose myself to all kinds of people of games that I would not have played before, and I've fallen in love with some of these fucking games.
You hit a point with that one, because I've been called poor.
Yep.
I've been called broke. The EBT of gamers. The dollar EBT, food stamps.
Oh, okay.
That's what they call Game Pass, EBT pass. Look, let me tell you something.
Look, I think that's just because your mom goes to the mosque on a Sunday. I think they're really it's just like
let me tell you something. Check this out. It has gotten to a point where I don't understand how people manage their money. You know,
oh no,
it doesn't make sense. Even back in the day when we went into a clothing store or a shoe store, we didn't go in there with the prospect of paying full price for something. When they're trying to get a deal. My sister is very well off, but she only shop when it's deals. You know what I'm saying? But so just because that means you have the money, that don't mean you have to go out there and spend ridiculous just because you got it. And this notion that people who invest in something that allows you to save money is poor, and the people who spend more on something, they good. Man, what?
They're
who raised you?
That's exactly right.
What is going on, guys?
You know, I'm driving a Corolla by choice, motherfucker. It's not because I'm like thinking the ladies are like, damn. You see that fucking
out here with khakis, a t-shirt on, and some Skechers, bro.
That's
you know
right.
What I'm saying? Poor people look rich, rich people look poor. What are we doing
There we go. Absolutely.
Let's go.
I got nothing there. I can't do anything. I'm too white for that fucking beat. I'm just like,
no, that was a perfect way to end it. That's
man.
True.
Hey, no, though. We do gotta have that DMT conversation and other. I think that was really interesting before the show. I would really like to go there, but
we'll do a Jaffy show if you ever invite us.
You're always invited. I always am nervous to invite. How many people are watching this right now?
About 500, 600, 510 people.
I'm so fucking small potatoes. I never want to invite people who have bigger views than me because I'm like, they'll never come on.
Stupid. That's not.
I know I'm stupid.
Are you mad? Like, we would freaking just...
Man, we're rock out, man.
I'm just buttering y'all up. Of course, I'll fucking have you guys on. Not Gaz, though, because he's a little too dark-skinned for me. But you...
Oh, damn.
Oh, wow.
And on that note, Peter Morland with a super chat goes, love to all black, brown, white, rounded, and cavalier people. And then that... Thank you for that, Peter Morland. And Highlander with a $5 super chat. I watched the Sony Pony show last night, and all they all said that to try Redfall and Starfield will cost them $15 each time. Cry me over.
Unless I just play it once. I mean, pay for it all in May or June or whenever. Listen, if there are people in your chat that think that Game Pass is for poor people, then I want a person who believes that to super chat you $100 saying that right now. Because you must be wealthy enough to have that opinion. So let's see the ducats, bitch.
What it is that they scream Xbox don't got no games, but yet they was using them $1 to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. What were they paying that $1 for? Exactly. It's a stupid argument. It's juvenile, but I can't escape the discourse because it's everywhere. It's so stupid. But yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, this was going to be the longest show. This one surely. But it has been an incredible show. I love this show. It's probably my favorite one. Oh, so much goodness. Thank you, everyone in chat who joined and just tolerated our madness. It was That's just perfect. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the show. We have to give the gents their time to shine. And outro time. Post up. You had your debut. How did you enjoy it, man?
Yo!
I love that.
Yo, it's been incredible. It's been fun. I am enjoying the energy. Thank you. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate you for having me on. It was great, man. Jaffe, you are crazy, but I love the energy. I love your truthfulness, your honesty, and you're just straightforward. You don't bullshit. Straight up, no chaser. That's how it should be, man. Thank you for having me, man. Reach out to me anytime we can do this.
I would love that. That'd be great. I would love that.
Where can people find you?
Post_up_BBB on Twitter. If you're looking for all the ABK merger news, follow me on there. On YouTube, State of Gaming. We go live every Saturday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'm finna roll off here and roll into that show. Make sure y'all pull up, like, subscribe, and let's get it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much, man. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, man. And last but certainly not least, it's Jaffe. It's always a pleasure. I hope you had a good time on the show.
I love coming on the show. What if I didn't? What am I like when I'm having fun? No, I had a great time. It was fun, great conversation. I hope the audience enjoyed it. Of course, I'm over at just David Scott Jaffe on Twitter. I'm Gabbin' and Games, the name of my show on YouTube, or at David Jaffe Games. I stream all the time, but I have a Monday through Friday usual show, which is hour and a half, 2 hour game news, heavy chat discussion. Come see that if you're interested. Videos, blah blah blah. And I'm around, man. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Also, I lost my train. The Adderall is wearing off.
Oh my God! Just in time.
Another one.
No, I'm good for the day.
How many? Is there a limit on how many of those you can pop a day?
Legally, or what I can tolerate?
I mean, in terms of side effects, like just to have me on.
No, I mean, yeah, you can OD on it. Listen, man, my dog, my fucking dog ate my kid's Adderall. Didn't know when he was like maybe 2 years old. He almost died, and he still has not recovered, in the sense that he's still, when he goes outside, he's very anxious. But I mean, I am prescribed this. I am prescribed Concerta in the morning, which is a long-acting release of whatever the drugs are that let you have better ADD functioning. And that releases like a slow 8-hour release. And then I get a kicker of Adderall in the morning with that, like a 10 milligram. And then I follow that up with another 10 milligram Adderall around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And that's kind of my...
On top of the marijuana?
On top of the what?
The marijuana.
Oh yeah, the marijuana is different.
No wonder you'll be
that's a downer as opposed to.
I don't smoke pot all that often. I love marijuana. I love it, and I want to do that Chat GPT girlfriend simulator while I'm high as a kite. I think it'd be great. But no, they don't tend to battle each other. They're fine. But no, the DMT though, I'll be there for it. Absolutely.
Well, I'm there too. You know.
Oh, we're all there, wherever that.
We're gonna have to figure something out. We're gonna have to figure something out. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that.
100%. Can you imagine if we did one where you take it for the first time and then you explain your experience live? It would be amazing.
That's what I would want to do. That's what we should do.
I'm down. I'm 100% down. I'll travel to Santa Monica. That's where you are, right?
Well, I'm in San Diego, but imagine the super chats, how we would deal with the super chats. And we should try to do the game news straight up, but we're on DMT. Yeah. And just see what happens.
You would be able to do it. Just be drooling. Yeah, but it's been epic. Asa, I hope you had a good time, Asa. I can't tell. You look terrified.
Yes, I've removed my seatbelt. Everything's good. I'm fine.
You've just been chilling the whole.
You can find Asa on the reruns of ER every Monday through Friday at 4:00.
Noah Wiley in the flesh. But Asa, do you tell people what you're doing?
I do not.
Okay. And on that note, we have a video, the best of E3, like serenading the death of this epic show that held was so close to our hearts. It gave us such good moments. But yeah, lots of content. Please smash the like button. Thank you so much, honestly, genuinely, all of you for tuning in. You make the show what it is, you crazy, crazy people. Please hit that like button, and we'll see you next time on Game On Daily. Soul.
Play.